5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Three, two, one. Welcome back.
Let's do it.
Hey.
Welcome back to another podcast of You Can't Handle the Ploof. I got Brett with us today, as always, holding it down. And then I got the one, the only, Carlos Rios.
Oh, man. I'm so happy to be here.
We are going back. So for people in YouTube land that don't realize this, me and Carlos go back to elementary school.
Yes, absolutely.
He hit me up a couple weeks ago and said, I want to be on the podcast. And I'm like, let's go. Called
So
Brett.
cool.
I'm like, you're never going to guess who's coming on.
So you would you check out a couple?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I checked out a few things. I saw Matt Griffin too, man. It's great, to see some of your old classmates, man.
Yeah.
I saw, did you have one with Tina too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Tina
that's
Perrell,
awesome. Yeah.
Shout out to Tina. So what do you think is now you being a person who watched the podcast,
Yep.
do you think we should shut this down and go do other things? Or,
No,
is
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think you guys are doing a great job in giving some people some voices and helping some businesses out there too as well, so that's really important.
Yeah, it's that's the whole part of the podcast, and I say this all the time, people probably get sick of hearing it, but it is what it is. We originally started the podcast to get people talking again. The whole thing with the politics and all that stuff was out of
Right.
control. And then, it got to a point where you couldn't talk to anybody more. And then it just became like, let's have a conversation. It doesn't have to be about anything. Let's just sit down. And I firmly believe that if people just sat down, they just started talking, we have a lot of the same beliefs, just a different way of getting there, right?
Absolutely.
So this is a good avenue for people to come down. Some people still get nervous about coming on, and, every time someone comes on, I think that helps the next guest go, hey, I can talk about stuff like that too and feel more comfortable and and then jump on. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate you coming on.
Talk to people all the time, and hey, why don't you come on? You don't have to specialize in anything, and it's I don't know what I have to talk about, or no one wants to hear what I have to say. I'm like you keep telling me you just can't hold a conversation for an hour, maybe two.
Right.
Like what do you do on when you're out at a party on a Saturday night? Like you just don't talk. I mean, that's really all it is. I mean, we cover some cool stuff, and sometimes we touch on what people do, but for the most part, we're just kind of shooting the shit for a couple hours,
Yeah, no, I can definitely do that. I can talk.
Everybody's like, well, I'm not a brain surgeon, or a rocket scientist. I'm like, oh, we don't want those guys. 'Cause I couldn't keep up to that. Yeah, right. I mean, it'd be interesting to have them on if we could actually get a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon. Yeah. But,
you're going to have to talk a lot slower.
A lot slower for me, man. I
don't use big words.
Yeah, don't use those big words.
So, it's funny that we're, just talking about our kids and stuff like that and how much we've grown.
It's crazy,
although
isn't
you
it?
have not changed since high school.
Oh wow!
I could pick you. I could pick you out from a lineup of 5,000 people.
Just
Absolutely.
a little bit more weight on.
Yeah.
me,
Well,
right?
look at this.
Yeah.
We're all,
Man, well, I lost a lot of weight. I had a surgery a couple of years ago, because I just got this intestinal thing, and man, I lost a lot of weight. But then here I go and put it back on again. It's
did
like,
you get diverticulitis?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a big sufferer of
Yeah,
that.
you've been dealing with that
Yep.
too.
I have to have surgery one of these days. Actually, I have to go for surgery next month for hernia.
I had that done at the same time as a diverticulitis.
Oh, did you really?
Crazy,
Oh,
isn't
my
it?
God.
They
Maybe
did
you
both
could
of them.
schedule them together. Then.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't
why
wanna
be
do
laid
that,
up. Why be laid up
Well,
twice?
this is the thing, right? That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So mine was close enough where
Just
they
get closer
were
to the
able
mic.
to, take care of it. They cut 12 inches out of my intestine.
Did they really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, let me tell you, it's the best thing that I ever did.
Did you really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I lost the weight. Like I said, I mean, I should get better into dietary mode now, but I lost some really good weight. I felt a lot healthier. Not only that, but I mean, when you have diverticulitis, it's the most. You just never feel good.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
You
Yeah.
just never feel
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody that I
You
know
eat
that has
something,
it. Yeah.
it's
Miserable.
hurtful. It's miserable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a miserable existence, and I had it for years.
I've had it I was hospitalized the first time so bad. They were going to do surgery the next morning. And the doctor comes in, the other doctor, and he comes in, he goes, listen, can you stay away from beef, fast food? And there was one other thing, I can't remember what it was. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that tonight. And he's like, I mean, you're on that edge, man. He goes, we really should go in there and take care of this. But I think that if we can get you through this infection, I think you're going to be good for a number of years, unless you do something crazy. But I've had it like 3 or 4 other times.
Right.
But I'm really good about the minute I start to feel it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the doctor's. I don't want to get to that point where it's going to rupture, because I've known people who had their had a rupture.
You get a perforation.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not good at all.
No, absolutely. You can go septic, man. That's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, anytime something down there is going to open up, it's bad news.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where, anywhere from here down.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad news if it splits open and starts leaking.
Well, like this weekend, I was coughing so hard, my hernia came out,
Oh,
and I had to push it back in.
Yeah, pop-up timer?
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's. I can't believe I just pushed my gut back in, or my intestines back in. But here we go.
Oh,
I hated the hernia
I never
thing.
had that. I had the umbilical hernia just like he has, but I didn't have anything. Like, I just felt a little bulge. I
Yeah.
never had it, pop out. A friend of mine had one where he actually had to wear like a
Oh my god.
like a waist trimmer, what they call
Just
a
to
waist
hold it
trimmer,
in?
but one of those things that to hold it in, and because he didn't want to go get surgery. He wore the thing for like a year. I'm like, dude, you need to get that can.
Jesus. I had my hernia for about a couple of years.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. And the funny thing is, you have friends every once in a while that, hey, give you a smack on the belly or whatever. So for years I was like always, really tense, man. But yeah, got that taken care of, and life.
So did you have the orthoscopic surgery? Like how did they go in with
Yep.
the four holes?
Use the 4 holes? Yep.
Yeah.
I got a little scar up here and one down here. They went right in
Where'd you have that done?
at Holyoke Hospital.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
So did you have the Da Vinci machine?
I don't recall. I don't know.
Because now what they're trying to do is use this thing called the Da Vinci machine, where the doctor sits behind this machine, and he goes in there with this machine to do it.
Really?
Yeah, because they're starting to
So
test
precise.
like,
I mean,
remote
this thing-
surgeries, and it doesn't shake. It's
So that's how my mom had it down in the South. I don't
I didn't
remember
know
what
that's
hospital
I didn't
she
know
went
that's what
to.
it's called, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's called Da
familiar
Vinci
with it,
machine. Yeah. So I actually went online to go check this thing out, and it's robotics to the 20th power, man.
That's crazy,
It's
man.
scary.
Well, it's the same things like they use if you've seen those demos where they conduct surgeries like across the world.
Right.
So like you have a surgeon that's like the absolute best. Let's say he's like a Russian surgeon, and you want him like some of these machines, like you can go there and they can run the machine
Right.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
from Russia, to do your operation. That's like kind of.
But just keep in mind, I can't get my cell phone to work down the street. But this guy in Russia is going to be knocking out part of your
Yeah.
colon.
and bank security cameras still suck.
That's one of my favorite things, man. When they show pictures and it's like the fuzzy, how are you not in 4K
Like
by
the cameras that you have on your house are better,
Yeah.
and like you probably bought them on Amazon.
Oh my goodness.
now? So I still can't believe you got 3 kids.
Yep, 3 kids. Yeah, I'm a grandfather.
Jesus.
Crazy. I know. It's nuts.
And how old's the oldest one?
She's 28.
Oh wow.
Yep, she's 28 this year. 9/11.
Oh, no kidding,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it would have been pre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a good thing that came out of 9/11. There we
That's
go.
it.
Yep.
I tell her all the time. That's one
Yep.
thing I look forward to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
birthday. I mean, who else wants to think about 9/11? It sucks, but
Yep.
yeah. Her
My
birthday's
oldest one's
definitely-
27.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think I have a 27-year-old. He never calls anymore. He doesn't show up or anything. But the other day, I said to my wife, I hung out with our kid tonight. She's like, where? I go on Xbox. He just happened to be on. That was our
my
father, son time. I haven't seen the kid in forever. But, he's doing his own thing. And
Right.
I'm sure I was the same way for a while growing up. But
Yeah, I mean, my parents didn't know if I existed or not, and I was still living at home. So, I mean,
Until I was 30. No, just kidding.
no, it might have been. Let me think. No, 27. Wait, is that what you just said? 27's when I 27's when I moved out. That's when I had my kids.
Wow,
So.
that's awesome, though, man. I would have stayed home if I could, but I was an idiot.
I
left
don't
at
know, man.
17.
I moved out when I was 17. And
Same here,
I'll tell you, it's probably the best thing my mother ever did. Because we had to go tell her Justin, my girlfriend was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that's great. That's great. And I'm like, well, she's taking this really good. And she's like, because you're not going to be here in a couple of weeks. You need to go find yourself a place to live.
Oh wow.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
But, she knew that I was self-sufficient. She raised us to be doing our own laundry, dishes, and all that kind of stuff. So I got an apartment. And then you just hopscotched. You know what I mean? You got a better apartment, then a little bit better apartment. Then we moved in together. And unfortunately, that didn't last. But we've been best friends ever since.
That's awesome.
And,
That's important.
I never had that ex-wife pain. We never really fought. I mean, we fought when we first split up because we were young. We were 19 and 20 years old.
Right.
And you know what bothers me the most about that is, people back then had this preconceived notion of you, like you're just some a-hole, and you know what I mean? But they don't realize you're still a kid. You know what I mean? And then you grow out of it, but they'll never forgive you for anything that you had said or did. You know what I mean? And so I got over that kind of quickly, though. Like, I know all the things I did,
Yeah.
but to see them now, like I remember Kathy one time told my kid, he was saying something about me never being a kid, and she's like, "You want to know what your father used to do?" So when your father can see you doing it way before you've done it, she's like, he was always into something. So don't think you're gonna pull the wool over his eyes.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
my
too
kids
funny.
test me on that all the time. I'm like, don't act like, I don't know exactly what's happening. Like I've been there, done that probably 5 times.
Yeah.
It's, and they always think they're sneaking one by, or like, that I'm not.
I always think they're getting one over you, man.
I'm like, or even when I just try to give some friendly advice, like, hey, just, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, you know everything. I'm like, in comparison to you, yes, I do know everything.
Right.
And you can test me on that whenever you want. I'm like, but there's plenty of people that, know way more than I do. And I don't know everything in a global sense, but like,
Right.
as far as like being a 15-year-old kid, or, I'm like, I kind of got that figured out. I lived it for a year,
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
but yeah, I mean, everyone's situation is different, with living at home and everything. My dad was, first of all, I had a great relationship with my parents. So, and that's, number one is, that doesn't always work, and that doesn't always happen for one reason or the other. And secondly, my dad was always like, don't put money into an apartment. He's like, don't move out until you can own something. Like he was big about saving and doing the right things with money. He's like, so as long as we're cool, you can stay here as long as you want. I was like, I'm all right. I'm never moving out, man.
I'm cool.
Don't change the locks. And then I had to go have a kid. I'm like, shit, this means I'm probably gonna have to move out. Like, and they probably would have been cool. We could have made it work, but then I'm like, I'm just not gonna do that. Like, I have a kid. I probably should own a house at this point,
Right.
So I did that. But yeah. So 27, I would have still been living at home, but they still didn't know if I existed.
Yeah.
Jeez. No, I struggled most of my life. You know what I mean? Because I just made dumb decisions. I made the stupidest decisions all the time. Young father, and just one thing after another. Jesus, I did a lot of dumb things that you guys don't know about.
We all did, but sometimes,
but you balance through it. You fight, and then here we are today. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. My life today is pretty damn decent.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we always knew you as a very friendly, happy-go-lucky, just whenever we saw you, we're like, there he is, man. Like, let's
That's
go. You know what I
awesome,
mean?
man.
Like,
That's cool.
that's how you were to us.
Always smiling. So
yeah, I mean, seriously, is he the number one smiling guy that you
absolutely
ever that we had?
Hey,
I swear
man,
to God.
And when you got that, so like when you're already there, I mean, honestly, this is how I feel. Like those are like some of the most important steps.
Right.
So you have no choice but to succeed in whatever. I mean, because really, smiling and having the right attitude, good or bad decisions aside, you're gonna get there as long as that's the attitude. I'm a huge believer in like emulation and kind of willing things and making decisions just based on, hey, I decided this is gonna happen, and then working your way towards absolution. Like anything I've ever wanted came to fruition because.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, I thought my life was going to be a lot easier. All my life, I thought I was going to go to the military. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all I wanted to do. I figured I had my whole life planned. Go to the military, become a military police officer, whatever. That's it. Well, I went to the Springfield MEPS, and because I failed, because I went to an asthma appointment after my 13th birthday, I was disqualified. So then it was a life of crime after that. It was just terrible. What are you going to do? And then I became a realtor. I was a realtor for many years, and I did well until until the balloon popped at the end of 2006. Everything just started going
So
bad.
we bought this, and
Yeah.
boy, did we get screwed.
Oh, man, you
Are you
bought
still
high.
underwater on it?
No,
or-
not anymore. But
Probably.
so when we bought this, so up on top of the hill is where everybody wants to move, right? This, Carl Bear lives right up there.
Yeah, that's right. How is he doing?
He's doing great. I don't get to see him that often. The guy works like a dog. So
Well, I mean, you're not up on the hill. So,
Yeah, I'm not up on the hill.
Yeah, right. No,
He's down there.
So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to flip this house because Carl called me one day. He's like, hey, there's a house at the bottom of my hill. Why don't you come check it out? So we drove by, and I'm like, oh, man, this thing needs a ton of work. It was abandoned. Well, it wasn't abandoned. The poor guy passed away. It was in probate court for a while. So it just came out of probate court. And so we drove over, and it was really quiet. Like, we sat here waiting for, and it was a crazy day. My grandmother had just passed away. Like, we just held her hand when she passed.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, my God, I have to go look at a house tonight. So I'm like, I'm not going to go. This wasn't at the right frame of mind. So one of my aunt looks at me, and she's like, listen, if your grandmother knew you weren't going to see that house, she'd give you a stern talking to. I'm like, you're right. I'll go. And like, no cars drove by the whole time we were here. Now it's like a super highway.
Right.
And
I think that they timed that shit because same thing in my
I'm
house.
telling you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a Sunday between like 4 and 5, and I'm like every day I'm like, nope. Sunday 4 or 5, no traffic. The rest of the time it's like a freaking dragway.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where you just couldn't find a house, right? Like, I remember my wife said to me, the price range that we were looking at, she's like, oh my God. Like, so the first house we went to see in the area had holes in the basement, in the concrete, right? I mean, it was a disaster. And that was in our price range.
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh my God, like, we are screwed. We are not going to be able to afford anything. Like, a cardboard box is probably right where we need to be. And we're going back and forth with this house when we finally got, and I didn't want this house. Like, I told my realtor, I'm like, she better not pick this house. And she's like, yeah, you don't have a choice. She picks the house. So she comes downstairs, and she's like, oh my God, this is the one. I'm like, oh my God, man.
Really?
Yeah, because I had a chance to buy a turnkey house.
Yep.
And I was going to do that. It was going to be a little bit more money, but we were almost at that point where we could have swung it. And but I'm glad we didn't, because all my neighbors used to come over throughout the years going, wow, we love what you did with the place. Like, it looks nothing like what it used to. And so, like, with every house, there's that evolution,
Absolutely.
Now we're at a point where I'd like to get rid of it because I don't like stairs anymore. That's all you have to do, up and downstairs, I'm getting too old for this shit.
It's good exercise.
And I'm too fat, which, by the way, I joined so at the camp, they have a weight loss
like a group,
yeah.
where
So
you share your stories and shit.
Today was the first day.
That's awesome.
I'm back on the train.
Good.
Although I weighed myself this morning, I am definitely down from when I did it before. Only 7 pounds. But
so from start or from
the last time that I weighed when I started the diet when I got the scale.
Okay, so from the last time you weighed, even including your when Luna passed.
Yeah, so that's when I started to really.
Yeah, so I know you kind of fell off a little bit, but back on the train. That's
back on the train. So today I had I did have a little sushi today.
Nice.
But I had a breakfast. I mean, what do you call those things? A protein bar, and a bunch of water today. So it's not really that bad. And I counted everything in my app. So I'm down. I'm below my points for the day or my calories for the day.
Yep.
So they made us take a picture of the scale.
Oh, really?
And put it on. Yeah, but it was funny, like seeing everybody's feet.
Yeah, that's so cool. Man.
So apparently I didn't clip my toenails good enough, so I had to crop the picture down.
Just send a screenshot of your scale thing.
Some people put that on because they must have that scale.
Yeah,
and I just
that way you don't have to show your nasty feet. Not that just feet are just nasty.
Yeah. There's no pretty.
Oh my God,
there's no pretty feet. Really,
I'm not selling my feet on OnlyFans.
Exactly. So just like I'm going to save you all from looking at my toenails. Here's what my digital scale says. Like
Yeah. So do you do the same thing? Do you like go on these diets and then come off?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I'm king of going off and on diets. You know what I mean? Well, my ex-wife and I are really good friends. Like I said, we're just really, really, really good friends, and she gets on me all the time because this lady is one of the strongest women I've ever met. Man, she works out every day, and she does her thing. She's like, you said you're gonna go for a walk. Said you're gonna take the dogs for a walk. She's just always on me, man. And so I tried just because she bullies me into it. I just fall off. You know what I mean? Since I live alone, you know what I mean? So it's I'm not going to cook today, you know what I mean? And and then, of course, even though she's in a different place, she still gives you the third degree. What did you eat today? What'd you do? Did you exercise? You said I'm like, oh my God, it's just like being married.
Yeah.
You know, it's
you might as well move back.
Yeah, at least you doesn't have like access to your bank account. Like, I saw you bought something at McDonald's today on the debit card. I mean,
yes, that would be terrible. But that was the case when we lived on Gate Street. She's like, oh, what'd you buy today? You know, but I'll tell you, Gate Street, living here was really nice. I really enjoyed living here in Palmer for a while, but man. And I used to see Carl all the time and Erica and their kids. I think
Yep.
our kids were like on the same soccer team and stuff.
Yeah.
So
So why'd you move out?
we ended up selling the house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we ended
yeah.
up selling the house. Jeepers. That's pretty much it. We ended up moving to East Long Meadow, and
Yeah.
you know, and that's it.
Yeah. It's been really good to me, this town. I'll tell you.
It's a
I
good
got a
town.
lot of shit for moving here when I first came here.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. Well,
Really?
Justin's mom moved out here first. She was the first one to move out
Okay.
here. Actually, I can't remember if Carl moved out here first or she moved out
I think
here
it was.
first.
Oh, I know Carl. Carl's been here for a long time. Carl and Erica.
They might have moved here the same year. I'll have to ask her.
I moved over here, I think, in 2003. I bought Gate Street.
Oh no, so you were out here longer than me.
Oh yeah, I was out here for a while.
Oh wow.
I had bought we bought a house. I lived in Florida too for a while, but I moved from Florida back up here, and we bought a house right on Southampton Road in Holyoke.
Okay.
Nice little place.
Yep.
And then we sold that for Gate Street. Just wanted something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know. And we just kept. And I was a realtor, so it was easy. I was able to buy the home and make a little money too, you know. So
Oh,
that
yeah,
was great.
yeah.
Yeah, and you get to see the listings ahead of time, too.
And back then, it's not MLS is not like it was back then. Back then, the listings were already 2 weeks old before they went into print.
Yeah.
Because it was a magazine. So
Oh,
you had to
wow,
put your
yeah.
listings in for publishing for one like a certain day in a week.
Yep.
And then you wouldn't see the book until like a
Yeah,
couple
now
weeks
it's
later.
like click,
Oh wow.
click,
Now
it's
it's like click,
online.
click.
All the realtors have access to it, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the best advice you can give somebody who's looking for a house? Like what should they kind of like based on what you remember, what can they be prepared to do? Like especially now where you go look at a house and if you're not putting a bid on while you're there, see
Oh
you
my God.
later.
That's pretty much it. Right now, it's a seller's market. It's unbelievable. And I think people, even more so now, because I think people are afraid that rates are going to go up. So they're just trying to, there's overbidding. I mean, crazy overbidding.
Yep.
You know, as a matter of fact, like even in New Hampshire, my brother just bought a lake house in New Hampshire. The listing was, I think, like 540. Ended up bidding like 563. It's like,
Oh my
whoa.
God.
Yeah, here's the advice. Wait till the rates are the absolute highest
Yes.
and put down as much as you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
That way you're not paying interest, and then it'll appreciate because as soon
Right.
as rates drop again, the prices will go up.
What are
'Cause
rates
the
right
bank-
now, do you know?
They're about in
3
the
to
twos,
4.
2.5. I
Are they
think.
in the twos?
Two and
now?
a
They're
half?
still, yeah, they're still low.
Yeah,
they're low.
actually, if you haven't looked at refinancing in a while,
Well,
I don't know
did.
where
I
you're
just
at.
refinanced last year.
yeah, they're low.
To 3.25, I believe I was.
Yep, I think last I saw like 15 years at 2.5, 2.75, somewhere around there. Yeah,
It's one of those things you're damned if you damned if you don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? It doesn't matter when you get in. If the economy's still going the way it's going, you're gonna,
Yeah.
right.
But does it make more sense? What they say to do it? You get the most benefit after a point that you save. Is that what it is, or
Yeah.
is it?
I believe that's what it is.
And it also depends on where you're at in your mortgage, too.
Right.
So if you're still pretty, I mean, amortization is front loaded, so
Mhm.
you're paying interest.
The
I mean,
whole time,
if you're 10, 15 years in, you definitely don't. It's a really dumb idea to restart now at at a longer or the same term. So if you're 30 years and you're halfway there, I mean, if you can't go to a 15 or 10, if you're just looking to lower your payment on a 30-year stretch again, you're paying
Well,
twice as much.
we went
you
from a
know.
15 back to a 30, just to keep it low, just in case. Because my wife's disabled.
Yeah.
So if anything were to happen, I wanted to make sure that we can afford it on my pay.
Right.
And now I'm going through some challenges with pay at work. So I mean, it'll iron itself out
Right.
hopefully. But I kind of decided like I want to do other things. Like we bought the camper, you know what I mean, and we I don't know if I told you, but I just traded my car in.
What'd you get?
So I'm gonna downgrade. I'm gonna go to a Sportage instead of the Telluride.
Because that thing's huge. You
Oh,
don't,
I
love
don't
the
need it.
Telluride.
I don't
That's
need
nice.
it.
you don't need
And I'm
that.
paying through the nose, even though I have
Yeah.
I have good credit. It's doesn't matter. It's that car, So I didn't put any money down when I got. Actually, I think I put $1,000. And then whatever I got for my car, which wasn't, I still owed a lot of money because I drive so much.
Yeah, so the mileage you
Oh,
racked
so
up.
you
Yeah.
just appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
bad.
and
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna in mileage, just gas mileage alone, going from that thing to a
So because we looked at the sticker and you can kind of
Yeah.
guesstimate, I'm gonna save about $150 a month
just in gas.
just in gas.
You're saving that much?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
because I go to Boston, well, just the rim of Boston,
Mhm.
almost every day. Well, three days a week. So I average no less than 200 miles a day, on average.
Wow.
It's
So you're-
sometimes
so you're
it's 250.
You're 1,000 miles a week.
Oh, easy.
Easy. So you're putting 60,000 miles a year on a car.
That is nuts.
Yeah, so I had, because COVID kind of banged everything up for a little while. And then after we were able to come back, they weren't letting us into the field for a long time afterwards. So, I had to span about 5 months maybe. I wasn't really using it. So I have just under 50,000 miles. So when I brought it in, the guy's like, "What do you do for work?" He goes, "Because anything over 50,000 is the kiss of death."
Wow.
And even with those miles on, with the whole arena of where we are with cars, I was actually able to get some money for it. And I think he gave me like $3,000 plus I put $1,000 down, so that was a pretty good down payment with that many miles on that car. It boggles your mind. You know what I mean? And I told him, I said, listen, because he was, I hate doing the whole car thing, man. I had actually an easier time buying my house and refinancing than I did buying a car. It's just so stressful.
Absolutely.
It is.
Did you ever sell cars?
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, you did.
For over 20 years, man.
That's right.
I worked
Where
at
did you
every
work?
dealership around here, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you did.
Curry, Bertera. I was
Did you
everywhere.
work for? Wait, I think I saw you somewhere.
Probably did. My
Hauser?
bro.
Did you work for Hauser? Or?
Yeah. Wait, it was Hauser Mitsubishi years ago, or
Yeah.
Hauser, and then they changed it. Well, Belize bought it, and it became Hyundai. But
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Did you work with Fausto?
with who?
Fausto Piedra?
That name sounds really familiar.
Because I bought a couple cars off Fausto.
That name sounds really familiar.
I want to say I went in and I remember seeing you when I was
possible,
talking
my
to
bro.
Fausto.
I was
Or
all
Fausto,
over the place.
Fausto.
20 years in the business. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That's right. I think I must have seen you at a dealership at some point.
See,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
this is where we always say, like, people say, there's nothing to talk about. My mind is racing right now, like you wouldn't believe. All the shit we're going to talk about now.
But so 20 years
Yeah.
doing cars, but then you sold houses after
I did.
that.
Okay, so no, I did it all at the same time, pretty much. So what happened was I actually left to Florida, like around '96 for a little bit with my wife at the time, and then I came back. So we were in the middle of getting divorced. Florida was not good for Carlos because Carlos was a jerk. I was a jerk. I mean, I was young and dumb, and Florida was awesome, for a young and dumb guy like myself.
Where in Florida were you?
I started in Orlando and then moved to Clearwater.
Okay,
Clearwater
yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
my
yeah, that's
my
awesome.
grandparents used to go down there all the time. Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it. It was. Let me tell you, man, what a great life.
Well, yeah, you ended up getting a divorce, so I guess you had a great time.
Yeah. I ended up getting divorced. Yeah, 2000, right? So, but I came back from Florida in 2000, and we bought a house together. Still, we still got divorced, and like I said, the kids came afterwards. So crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, Florida was really cool. But just a lot of stuff. I mean, if you're not going to be responsible, there's a lot of trouble.
Is there really?
Oh yeah, a lot of trouble to get into, man. A lot of trouble if you want to be irresponsible.
Yeah.
They don't play. That's what they say. You go down there on vacation, you come back on probation. So, yeah, man.
I've never heard that about
No,
Florida.
oh,
Like,
it's so true.
I've been to
tell you.
Florida a bunch of times, like, and not Disney related, and
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah, man.
I've never had an issue, but you can find trouble anywhere you go.
Oh yeah, I was good
you
at
know,
it. I was
yeah.
really good at fighting trouble. I was an
Yeah.
idiot, man. But I learned my lessons. I got my hits, and that's it. Just try to move forward.
Yeah.
So when I came back from Florida, I was doing a car business because there's nothing else I can do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I had a GED. That's all I had. So working in the car business for a little bit, learning that aspect, and then what I wanted to do was get my real estate license. So I was like, well, if I can sell cars, I mean, I can definitely sell houses, And I ended up getting my real estate license shortly after, like right in 2000. And I was lucky in a way because then 9/11, the worst thing in the world, that happened. But it helped me a little bit catapult everything because there was only a handful of Hispanic realtors in the area. So I took advantage of that. I was able to help a bunch of people get their first homes and build a nice reputation, throughout the years after that.
Yeah.
Left the car business alone because, it occupied so much of your time. when you're working a car business, man, you don't have any weekends off. You're
You're married
stuck.
to
You
it,
miss
yep.
a lot of your kid stuff, a lot of
you're,
things.
You're 6 days and it's no weekends.
Oh,
so.
it's 7 days, man, most times.
Well, yeah.
too, yeah.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, the thing is, I mean, if you sell a car and tomorrow's your day off, your customer still wants their car tomorrow.
Yeah, so if you have to
But-
do it, take a delivery or that, like, you know, I did it for a brief period of time. So, you know, either you have to do a delivery because you want to make sure you're there and, you know, transition the car and, you know, teach them about it and shit. Or customers like, well, I want to come back and see this, or I want to bring in my trade or whatever it is. You know, I can come in next Tuesday. And you're like, Tuesday's my only freaking day off.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, okay, I'll be here. What time you want to be?
Well, I
Or
felt,
else you lose half a deal.
Yeah.
You lose half of your money.
Because you're
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to pass it
Someone
off
else
to,
do, yeah.
Right.
they're going to handle it. Yeah.
well, I felt bad because we went into the dealership and, you know, I don't pay attention to times. Like in my mind, you're a business, you're open till 9 o'clock. You know, with this whole COVID thing, people have really dropped, and actually more so now that people can't find any help.
Right.
Everybody's really dropping their hours down, and you know, I don't pay attention to that sometimes. So we go in there. The wife's like, "Hey, I think they're closing," and I'm like, "Well, not if they want to buy 2 cars. They're not." So let's go. Like, 'cause I don't have time. Like I have such a schedule that I don't have time, and so they were actually very accommodating. I got to give them that. They were like, "Yep, come on in. Let's get this going."
That's awesome.
And it was kind of funny because the Sportage is changing body styles in early next year. Well, if this was a normal time of year, no COVID, they would have had those cars already,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah, this is late actually to be
Yeah.
seeing next year models.
Because when I had when I went to go buy the wife's car, that's when I saw the Telluride outside, and I was like, "What is that thing doing here?" Because there was a waiting period of 6 months.
Really? For the
Yeah,
Telluride?
when it first came out.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was their first 7-seater, I think, or 8-seater,
eight-seater.
right?
It's a
Yeah.
nice truck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really nice car.
So the saleswoman comes out and she looks at me and she's like, I'm like, "Don't give me those keys because I'm going to go drive the car." She's like, "I know." Take it down the street and back. I'm like, "Let me have it, man. I don't care what the payment is, you know, but I pay for that car what I pay for this mortgage."
Oh, my Jesus. Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, and like I said, that's with good credit. So I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm at that point in my life where I just want to enjoy some other things. I don't care about my car anymore. So with this one, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it comes with all the bells and whistles, just whatever. Because now, if you don't buy a car when they tell you it's coming in, you're not getting it.
It's crazy, right?
He told me that all of November is sold out. I was the one of like 3 people I think that are going to get this next wave that they didn't realize they were going to get. They found out that morning that they were getting these 3 new cars, and I lucky that I got.
So they showed them to you. And,
Yeah.
and
Well, I don't even know what it looks like.
Well, they showed
Oh,
you the
man.
options and stuff.
Caveat
so,
emptor.
like,
Yeah, the sticker.
like, you know what's on it.
I know it's
Yeah.
on it. I mean, I went online and looked at the color. I mean, I know what it is, but it was really weird not being able to touch it and feel it and test drive it like I have done my entire life, you know? And then we got her car. We have no idea what it is. I mean, we know the model, but we have no idea what the package is.
Oh, man.
Nothing. So they're like,
Oh, so it's a pre-order then?
no, it's
Well, they would already know what.
it's coming in, but they only know in certain increments. So many weeks out, then the sticker drops to them. Then they can see what's on it. And so he knows that there's a Soltos. I think that's how you say it. Soltos is coming in, but they don't know what package it is.
Solstice.
So is it a Solstice? No,
Solstice?
Is it Hyundai?
No, that was
it's a Kia.
Okay, no, so it's not a Solstice.
Pontiac made the Solstice, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a
Oh, yeah, Pontiac. That's right. It was
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
little
that
two-seater.
little, yeah,
Yeah.
that little two-seater.
Yeah, convertible. Those
With
are
the
cool,
Saturn,
actually.
Saturn View Pontiac
Yeah.
Solstice was.
or the Pontiac Fiero.
Hey,
They used to
listen,
catch on fire.
don't knock the Fiero.
There was a sharp looking ride back then.
That was
Yeah,
a
really
nice
It used to
looking,
catch on
yeah.
fire.
The
Yeah.
MR2, remember that?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like the little
Oh,
Fiero.
yeah.
Yep. So we had to put money down on hers, and they were like, and I'm like, well, what if it's just like the package that's coming in? He's like, I mean, that's one of the breaks, kid. He's like, you can pass on it, but put the $500 down just to hold it, and then you can do whatever you want from there. I'm like, all right, that makes more sense. So they did all the numbers and all that stuff. So the minute
I'm going to tell you right now, this sounds like some shady sales
No, I'm telling
and
you.
stuff for them to like sell you a car and you don't like. They know how. Well, actually, no, not necessarily. because you could have a certain amount of orders and they pre-allocate an options package. So so it's
so
not
they know
gonna
they're
produce.
getting so it,
They
like I
know
said,
they're getting 5 units or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they don't know exactly how they're equipped.
And some cars,
Yeah.
like when I sold Subarus, I mean they'd have a certain amount of allocated cars, but a lot of the options get put on that port.
That's
right.
true.
Yeah, well, that's what they're waiting for. That's what they're waiting to see.
That's
what they're,
So I was incorrect when I spoke. At
Yeah.
first, I'm just like, it sounds shady. But yeah, if it's like they haven't even, they just have the pre-allocation, then they don't know how it's going to be outfitted. Yeah.
And it was weird. Like we're in the showroom, and I'm looking around. There's not a single car.
That's crazy.
The
man.
parking lot was only they had one Sportage that was new that was actually getting picked up. The rest of the cars that were in the front line were all cars that they must have had traded in. And
Wow.
oh no, I'm sorry. There was one Sonata, the new hybrid that was out there, which was actually pretty sharp. It was that gunmetal or no wolf gray, I think they call it.
Yep.
I kind of like that color, but it was all that, and I'm just like, we're walking around like, and then come to find out, all the other cars that were in the parking lot were all the people worked in the service department.
Are you serious? Oh,
Oh, they were parking just to, like
They
make it
were
look like the
parking right there.
inventory.
oh my God! Just to make believe we have cars at the dealership, you know?
Yeah, and I was talking to the the sales manager, and he's like, "This is unbelievable." He's like, "This is going to single-handedly change the way we do business going forward," because so he shows me this sheet. He goes, "See these cars here? Gone." Ask me when those came in. I go, when? He goes, just the other day. And we showed the people, like, if you don't act right now, those people that are behind you, they're going to get these cars.
Right.
So which one do you want now? But it was true. Like the next person came in, boom, I want this one right here. And people are like, I at one time wouldn't like budge when it comes to options. Now you might have to take something you don't really want just to get it, and then maybe trade it back in a year later and get what you want.
That's crazy, man.
Gotta stop buying used cars, man. Throwing money away.
Well, brand new.
Well,
Yeah,
even
I
used
mean,
cars right now. the
new
prices-
cars. You gotta stop buying new cars.
I can't. I drive so many miles that it's not worth it for me to.
You can buy a year-old car. You're still under warranty, and you saved yourself 20%.
I want to be the only one that's ever farted in my car.
Yeah, see, that's
I
what
can
you and
appreciate
I differ.
I can appreciate that.
But,
Okay.
but I never have a car payment over $200. So
Oh, really?
I don't buy a car unless it's at least 5 years old.
No kidding.
No, won't touch it.
Wow.
Way too much money, especially now. Like because they're retaining their value, especially the good cars like
Yep.
a Subaru.
Yep.
Like Subaru is like shit. You can buy a 10-year-old Subaru. It's like I'm not even saving any money. I can
Yeah.
buy, I
Well, the
can-
resale
Mhm.
values.
Yeah,
is-
actually, this is the first new car that I've ever bought. I mean, I've always bought used cars. Always paid cash,
Yeah.
but this
Well, you
time
were in
around,
a car dealership for a while, so you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would always buy one of the trade-ins or something. I mean, that's how I did it.
Yeah.
I never really cared for cars too much, except for get me to work and back. Motorcycles, though, I loved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, this is the first new car that I ever bought myself ever.
I did a few, and then I'm like, man, you go to trade it in, or you want to try to sell, and I'm like, I'm upside down. Like I
know.
you lose so much equity. Like as soon as you register it, as soon as it's registered and titled,
Yep.
you're 15.
Well, but here's the
you're
thing.
minimum
I've
15,
never had a
20%.
problem trading them in. Like,
Really?
yeah, because I think when you go in with good credit, you are the boss. Like,
Yeah.
I've walked out. So I did this thing this time where I do this thing where I'm just going to walk out. Like, I got to use the phone, or I play with my calculator on my phone. There's all these payments just aren't going to work. I need to be in this range. And when they help me out the first time, I'll always go back again. You know what I mean? Because it is a tug of war, and I'm in it to win it, and I understand I got to make some jing. But with this one, then just the numbers weren't coming in right with my car. And I did this thing where I'm like, you know what? I got to go out and call somebody. And they're like, who are you going to call? So I go outside and I called a friend of mine, and they thought I was calling my financial advisor. So I come back in. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my car and I'm going to go sell it tomorrow like that. And I'm going to make a mint off that car. So do you want to help me out or not? Like, I'll meet you halfway. I understand you got to make jing. He's like, all right, what do you want? I'm like, I want an extra couple grand. I'll throw in another grand and we're good to go. He's like, all right. But he was like physically in his chair squirming, like, because, nowadays, I mean, where's he making money? There's, as these cars get more advanced, like these Teslas, if the electric car business takes over, like they say it's gonna, far less things that break,
I wouldn't say, well, maybe not break, but now you're driving a computer.
Yeah, man. Whatever happens on a blackout, are you going to charge that thing? I mean, those are the things that bother me.
Yeah. So I mean,
You know what I mean?
it's not without problems, but I think the dynamic shifts. So I mean, car sales, selling the car sells or pays the salary of the salespeople. Service makes the money for the dealership.
Yeah, service.
So
Right.
all the money's in service. So especially if you're committing, and if a lot of that's why you see dealerships do. It's like, oh, free tires for life, or whatever. If
Yeah.
you get your oil change here, because they're charging $80 for an oil change, or instead of 40 or whatever. I don't know where that shifts, because even Tesla offers like, first of all, like all their updates and everything, that's all free. Like I think their charging is free. Like you're basically. I think if you want to charge your car at a Tesla charger, it's free. And I think even certain, maybe it's only under warranty repairs, like just like anybody else is free. I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody that has a Tesla out of warranty.
I haven't either.
But yeah, I don't know where that's going to shift. I mean, obviously, some of the negotiation, the limited inventory part is driving urgency. So, I think they're making more margin on the front end, because you
don't have to discount anything.
In theory, yeah, you're right. Your ability to negotiate goes away because of that pricing urgency. Like, oh, we only have 3, so you better take one. That's why I'm like, well, I'll buy one that's 3 years old, and I have pick of the litter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it affects all sorts of things. Though. It's going to affect the gas companies. Like it's like a domino effect in how to, but it's true though. I think you're absolutely right. Things do bounce back in other ways. We find ways to, I guess they just find another way to screw you. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
People are really good at that. But the Teslas are insane. I actually put my name on the list for the EV6 Kia, and I got the email back that I didn't make the first round.
Oh, wow.
Because they
Yeah, I'm
downgraded.
surprised you don't drive an electric. I mean,
I'm not against it.
I mean, with tax benefit, with what you pay in gas, and I'm sure, your job, you either write it off or...
I can't. In Massachusetts, you can't write anything off anymore.
Not true. Well...
Not because I don't own my own business.
You're not 1099.
I'm not a 1099,
So you're subsidized
Man.
from your employer then.
Yeah.
Okay. So they give you a vehicle allowance.
Yep.
Or it's included in your salary. Okay.
It's a separate check.
It's a separate
but
check.
Yeah, but it's part of my W. Whoa.
Jeez. And
Jesus.
I'm the one drinking a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
This podcast is going to be so dangerous you lose an eye.
Yeah.
Right.
But so, I mean, just in like oil changes and gas, there has to be so based on my math, you're probably spending $300 to $400 a week in gas.
Not a week.
Yeah.
Probably
1,000 miles. What was that Telluride getting? 15, 16 miles?
No, believe it or not, I was getting like 27 miles.
All right,
What?
That's why my
On that
math.
big
That's
truck?
Roughly, yeah.
that's why my math is off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're paying $150 a week.
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Right around there. It all depends if I went a little extra. Like if I had to go about there one more day,
Yeah.
give or take.
So $600
Easy.
in
That's without the
per
once a
month.
month oil changes
Yeah, and now you got oil changes
every month.
Yeah.
God forbid I need tires, brakes.
Yeah.
Because-
So just in gas and tires and oil, you're already paying for what's
Out of pocket.
What's the small one? Model S, the Model 3.
Right.
You already own a Model 3.
Yeah.
At a surplus.
My old boss.
You're probably into the X actually. Once you add in what you said, your other car. Actually, no, your other car payment already covers an X, which is their SUV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my old boss once told me, just be lucky you get a car allowance. Because I went to him one day. I'm like, listen, this isn't even paying for like X amount. Like from what I hear from a lot of people who do what I do, they're all in the same boat. They all have to pay out of pocket at a certain point.
Yep.
And he told me, he's like, you can go do something else, but the same thing, you're going to pay out of pocket. It's just how it works. And I'm thinking to myself, God, man, how much are these companies saving on my back
Right.
to do that?
Oh,
It's like
ridiculous
it's not
amount.
even remotely fair, because if they actually paid me by the mile, like the regular mile,
Yep.
I'd be doing so much better. It's just one of those things you have to get over that very early.
Yep.
Or you're just going to flip your
Yeah,
lid.
the savings is immense, because they're most of the time they'll get into a lease deal, so they're turning it in, but then they have, they hire like usually a lease servicing company who handles like dealing with all that shit.
Yep.
And then they're giving you a gas card, and then there's all the liability and the insurance associated with it.
Oh, insurance.
Yeah,
Which-
well, that's what we're gonna get into.
we
now.
were gonna get. I was just segueing into. So car sales, home sales, and you move to insurance.
Before we
Yeah,
get into
and you
insurance,
actually-
though, I want to. So if I'm going to look for a car, as a consumer, what's my best protection? Like, what kind of advice can you give to somebody
Right.
before they even get in the building?
As far as purchasing insurance for your vehicle?
Yeah, like how do I know
Liability.
I'm not gonna take a screwing?
Wait, to buy a car or to buy insurance?
Buy a car. We'll talk about the insurance part next.
Okay, I'm sorry. So to buy a car, not the insurance, just the car, buy the car itself?
Yeah.
Definitely do your research. I mean, what I would do is if you're going to buy a new car, look up the invoices online. I mean, you can actually look up most invoices online, for a certain car that's almost exactly like the one that's outfitted like the one that you want.
Yep.
And then you can actually see what people are buying these cars for. I would put like a bid, maybe a couple $100 over invoice just to see where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and
you already
yes.
know their invoice. You want to just check, and you want to make sure that you're trying to take all of their profit away. So by giving them a couple $100 over invoice, now this was back then. This is probably not going to happen now because of the demand. But as far as invoice pricing is always, but you want to start at invoice because they have holdback.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So sticker is different than invoice.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Oh,
sticker
absolutely.
Can you
is your
explain
retail.
that? Like, how would I look up the invoice? Because
Right.
me, in
So
my mind, I'm looking at sticker like that's the
Yeah. Invoice is what they paid for it.
right.
Sticker is what they're charging for it. So it's just
Retail.
like when you walk into a store and you buy a shirt, they paid. It's a $35 shirt. Now apparel has ridiculous margins, so they paid $17.50 for that shirt. They're selling to you for $35.
Yep.
Right.
So their invoice is $17.50. That's what they were billed for. They're selling for $35. So it's the same thing.
Yep.
The
So how do you
difference
find
is-
that number?
Oh, it's online.
Everything's online.
Everything's
now.
Is it? Yeah.
You can go on to manufacturer, certain manufacturers. I mean, whether it's Tesla or whatever, you're able to find these. Kelley Blue Book is actually a good tool as well. Kelley Blue Book, you can pretty much pull up a lot of different invoices on there as well.
Well, yeah, I did actually use that when I got the Telluride, and it did say like what most people there's that little
Yeah.
gas
Your
gauge thing they were
average sale
using.
price.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that most people don't know about is one thing Carlos mentioned is holdback. So that's kind of like your after sale commission. So even though, if for mathematical purposes, we'll say, a dealership paid $10,000 for a car, that's their invoice is $10,000, but there's a 7% holdback. So that means once that car sells and they prove to the manufacturer that it's sold, they get another 7% back.
Right.
So they're going to get $700 in holdback. And another thing that a lot of people don't look at and you can find easily online is manufacturers' rebates.
Right.
Some of them are, and a lot of them are like dealer rebates. So it's like they're not advertised like, $1,000 back and all that shit. A lot of them are just specific incentives for the dealership. But if you go to the right sites, you can find those.
Absolutely.
And so what that means is like, even though their invoice was 10, they actually are going to have to, they're actually really only paying, say it's $1,000 rebate. They're really only actually paying for 9 for the car. So there's another $1,000 that they might not tell you about. But if there's like a dealer, incentive on that and they're not advertising it, you could probably.
They want to keep that money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
It's
want to
extra
keep
money for them.
every
Yeah.
single dollar. And that's
so
why.
am I better off to give them any money down?
Try to keep as much money as you can, depending on the interest rate too. And the other thing is, as far as things you can buy in a finance department, I mean, there's oh my God, there's a certain insurance that I can't even think about.
Gap insurance?
Yeah, the gap insurance.
Yeah.
Your gap insurance is you can buy that a lot cheaper from your agent than
Yep.
you can from the dealership. Gap insurance from a dealership will probably cost you like $800 when you can get it from your agent for like $140 for the year.
Yeah.
You know.
Plus, you're paying interest on that.
You're
and-
paying interest on that, yeah.
All of your extended warranties, if you're into them, are negotiable. They carry usually a 40 to 50% margin. So if they're
Yes.
pitching you a $2,000 5-year bumper to bumper, covers everything, even if you shit in the filters,
right.
it's really.
Yeah, we don't suggest that anybody shits in their filters.
Nobody
Just-
should shit in
Don't do
filters,
that,
but you will be sold a warranty that covers that. And if it's $2,000, that means they're only paying $1,000 for it, and they're making 50% margin.
Yep.
Financing's the other thing. Go in armed with your own financing, unless
Right.
there's 0% or like dealer specific financing.
Well,
'cause-
I went through Kia again.
Yep.
It was very simple. The websites are easy to use.
Right.
Plus, I get the Kia loyalty.
What's your rate though?
I think it was 3%. So I called my bank afterwards, and they're like, we might not be able to beat that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the
I'm like,
important thing, as long as you
yeah,
know
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because that's the F&I manager's job.
Because I need the months. You know, I need to spread it out a little bit more because again, I only get certain car allowance. Because I'll be honest with you, man, if I didn't have the drive, so one of the reasons why I buy a new car is because I drive so far out. Sometimes I'm 3 hours away from home, and the last thing I want to be do is broke down somewhere 3 hours away from home and pay that tow bill to come back. You know,
AAA membership is cheaper than buying brand new.
Well, Kia gives you like 5 or 6 years now of roadside assistance.
Kia and Hyundai still have some of the best warranties out
They'll
there.
actually
do. They really do. They
and it's
really
free.
do.
So they'll come out. So I remember when I got, and I get shit for this all the time, but I'll just fully admit it. I had a Kia Soul, and I absolutely loved that car.
Is that the Cube one?
That's the Cube, yeah.
That's the Cube one? All right,
Kind of, yeah. It was like, remember the hamsters and the
yeah,
hamster commercial?
yeah, right, yeah.
So I used to get out of there looking like this. You know, people would be looking at me like, "What are you doing, man?" And I love that car. Ask my wife; she'll tell you. I bragged about that car to everybody.
That's
man. Yeah,
great.
it's crazy. And that was my Kia journey. I am a Kia fan through and through. I mean, I think that what you get for your money, the technology that's built into these cars, the craftsmanship. And I'll tell you, when you go in there and the way they embroider the seats and everything is just so well done.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I ever saw a Kia. You remember those small little shitbacks? I don't even know what they were called back then. It was a Kia, whatever. I remember saying to myself, I would never own one of those. And then I saw my first Soul commercial, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually thinking about this.
Really? That's great.
So I went down to Fathers and Sons to go take a look. And the only one they had in the parking lot was that snot green one.
Yeah. That's what I had in my head.
Yeah.
The whole time you were talking about, that's what I had in my
I actually
head.
kind of like that color.
Did you really? Yeah.
Like that weird, like
That's too
metallic,
funny, yeah.
like pond scum snot green. Yeah, I kind of like that.
The swamp car.
Yeah, swamp car, yeah.
So just as we were talking, me and the sales guy who happened to date my roommate, when I pulled up, I noticed him. I'm like, oh my God, I feel more comfortable. He's like, well, I got a truckload coming in like any minute now. Like we're all waiting here for it to get here. And sure enough, it pulled up and had like 5 or 6 of them. Most of them were all white, one red, and then they had a chocolate brown. They call it a mocha brown. I think it was called coffee brown. I want to say it was. And I'm like, that's the one. So I test drove it after they got it off. And I was like, I like this thing. This thing is so much fun. And you wouldn't believe the room in this thing.
Spacious?
Oh, I bet, yeah.
God.
Really?
I got in there. It was like a clown car. Like everything went kind of
That's
expanded
great.
up. So then I got rid of that. I got the Sportage and the Telluride, and now I'm back to a Sportage. But I'm a fan.
Right.
You know?
So you know that you recognize that's like that's the Honda, Nissan, Datsun / Nissan, and Toyota business model, right? So every one of those companies, you know, it was all strategic development. It was like, you know, get your early price point, super low, you know, like just kind of starting out vehicle out there, and then gradually increase quality, increase value, increase price, and then so, you know, Honda becomes Acura, Datsun becomes Nissan becomes Infiniti, Toyota becomes Lexus. So then your brand development happens along with your clientele. So now, like, my Honda people are, you know, they saved a bunch of money because they bought a cheap, reliable car. Same with Hyundai, who, you know, went into what's that, the upper scale brand that Hyundai?
Oh yeah,
Hyundai,
that's right. It's a sports car there. No, it's not. It's a luxury, right? Oh
yeah, it's their luxury, but they also did it just within their own brand. You know, they increased.
Genesis?
Yeah, Genesis, because they started with the sport, but then they moved on to like some of the more luxury models. So they evolved with their clients, and it's a genius business model. You know, same thing. American brands did it a little bit, but I think they did it a little bit sooner. You know, GM to Cadillac, you know, things like that. Ford to Lincoln Mercury / Ford to Lincoln. But yeah, so like you are, you know, the evolution of Kia.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, genius marketing, and you're you know, also proving it. You're satisfied with it. You know, I have no brand loyalty. Like, I'm all about price and price and reviews. So it's like, and of course, but that's because I'm buying on that used car market.
Well, the good thing is, like, every year, I don't know if I'm lying when I say that, but so many, like when the Sportage came out, it got 5 stars. When the Telluride came out, it got 5 stars, best of year. You know what I mean? So those cars are consistently in that top echelon of safety and and reliability and stuff like that. And I just love the look, man. I just think they nailed it.
Yep.
Like this new Sportage even has the top model Telluride has all the lights inside, like all the glow lights.
Yeah.
So now they're bringing this down to some of the other stuff. And here's the deal, man. After all this stuff is done and these things start coming back out again, I'm not against going back a year later and just trading it in.
Right.
It's just cars for me are like underwear. I don't get wrapped up in them.
You change them once a year?
Oh, well, twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
See, I'm the exact opposite. Like I saw the Telluride. I actually I test drove one. But so what I do, I test drove a Lincoln Navigator. Like when they redesigned that, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to own one of these in 5 years. Like I literally said,
5 years.
like I
He walks out. He's like, I'll see you in 5 years.
That's my like ongoing joke. My dad loves it because he's a frugal person also, and I'm just like, oh, I'm like, hey, did you see the new whatever? He's like, oh man, I can't wait to own one of those in like 8 years.
Oh,
like
goodness,
that's just
funny.
that's my mindset.
Just when I think I know Brett, he comes out with something better, man.
Oh no,
great,
I
man.
love that shit. So you car sales, home sales,
Right.
and one of the most important ones that a lot of people kind of take for granted, insurance.
Insurance.
Right.
Especially.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know right now you're in the, home and auto game, still
Right.
very important, but life is also an important
Life
piece
is
that a
very
lot of people
important as well.
overlook, but just not something you deal with now. So tell me about that progression, like your
Right.
intro into the insurance world and then kind of where you're at now.
So I was working in a car business, and I was just, I'd see these insurance agents come in every once in a while to the dealerships, prospecting, and I'm like, man, what a great job. What what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, you get to go and talk to people, but insurance is one of those things that not everybody understands, and you can get really screwed by not having the proper coverage, whether it's your home or your car. And I'll give you an
More
example.
confusing than actually buying a car or home sometimes.
Yeah,
Sure.
Some people, people don't really know what they're buying when it comes to insurance, unless you're asking your agent. If you're going to buy insurance from Geico or Progressive, you don't have an agent to explain what you're getting. You're just going for the cheapest price. You don't care. But having an agent, I think it's a very valuable thing. My new customers, I'm like, I'll purposely ask them if I know they have Progressive or a Geico, I'll purposely ask them, hey, did your agent go? Oh, I don't have an agent. I know. I know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the liability aspects are huge. The property, even having the right amount of coverage for property. I wouldn't let anybody go with less than $100,000 of property damage, to somebody else's property. But you'll get other companies that they're letting people go with $20,000. Are you kidding me?
serious?
That's a light post. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that's a freaking little motorcycle.
Oh,
or
well, we're
something.
at the state minimum,
Yeah.
right? So you go based on state minimum versus like what you actually have to lose.
So
Right.
is that the
Which
state
is-
minimum is 20?
2040 is a state minimum.
Yeah.
So the way the insurance works, 2040 basically, I'll tell you on the front end, $20,000 is for the first person that you injure or that gets injured. If there are multiple people in the vehicle or multiple people that get injured because of you, they'll pay the maximum of $40,000. Well, we all know that that's really nothing these days. Hospital bills. You could be out there, a couple $100,000.
That's
for
an overnighter. $20,000 is an overnighter.
Right.
Yep.
Right. But
with
that's
an
the kind
ambulance
of
ride and
coverage
shit.
you're getting, you know what I mean, with not knowing what you're getting. I personally, in our office, we don't feel comfortable with letting anything less than 50, 100. That's really our minimum because, we have fiduciary responsibility to make sure that
Sure.
we're taking care of you. We have to protect our house as well because, we lose out too. If we don't cover our customers properly, that's a big liability on us. And what does that say for us? We didn't take the time. We were just trying to get numbers. We don't want to do that.
You risk some
Right.
bad word of mouth, like, oh, I don't know, I thought it was covered through,
Yeah.
that Carlos
Right.
had me hooked up. I had a great
Absolutely.
rate, and then I got hosed
Mhm.
because this happened. Yeah, so you don't
Right.
want that negative.
Absolutely
yeah.
do not want that, so I've been in the insurance business now for almost 4 years, and luckily for me, I did have the car business and the real estate that I was in, and it was an easy fit for me because I already have a ton of friends that are in the real estate world, a ton of friends that are car salespeople. So for me, it was like a nice vein. I'm able to feed the vein. You know what I mean? I'm able to feed
Yeah.
the housing industry, and I'm able to take care of my auto people as well. And the best thing about it is, if I can help you lower your insurance company by getting you the same or better coverage than you have now, it's a win-win situation.
Right.
And you'd be surprised, man. There's some people that are paying quite a bit more for their stuff, and they just don't know it. They have there are other agents that will take you up top. I mean, I don't think you could ever really have too much coverage, but you could possibly have, paying more than what you need as well.
You
So
can't have
it
too
goes
much
both
coverage,
ways.
but you can have more than you need.
Yes.
So it's two different ways of looking at it.
Well, I think you made a good point. Like, put the money where it makes more sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, especially that I drive all the time, my insurance has to be up there. And I have it all in all my cars. I have a young driver with my daughter.
Yep.
I just blanketly said, you know what? Just every single car, put it on.
Yep.
Because you never know. What if one day I take her car? It's in my name, but what if I take it and I get into an accident with that car?
I think
Right.
the driver is covered, right?
Yeah, the insurance
Yeah.
follows the driver.
Insurance
So
follows
like
the driver.
Yeah, the insurance follows the driver. It follows.
Oh, does it
follows
really?
You, yeah. So whatever car you drive, you're covered from your own insurance.
You have
I
a
didn't know
primary. You have a primary vehicle.
Yeah.
But whatever
Mhm.
your primary vehicle, that coverage carries. So you could have like $1 million coverage everywhere,
Mhm.
and you could drive my car, and you have that coverage. You're the
Basically,
insured.
Oh, I
driver.
think
know that. I
about
thought it
Air
was-
Force One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the president gets into Air Force, but doesn't matter what plane it is, it's Air Force One while the president is in there. So you'd be the president of your own car. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I thought because like you brought it up, if it was, I thought that my primary car was just my car.
Yeah.
And like my wife's car was just her car. You know what I mean?
No, but it's an important thing. So like my son, for instance, when he was a new driver, it was much more financially beneficial to add him onto my policy. So when I was younger, my father was like, I'm not going to add you to my policy because I'm going to incur your risk. So like you could crash into somebody's house and I carry this much liability, for damage to other people's property or, injury to someone else.
Yeah.
And they could take my house, So my father had a requirement, like as soon as you get your license, you're on your own policy. I gave my son, it doesn't make any sense based on today's insurance rates for a new driver in my mind to be on his own policy. It would have bankrupted him,
That's what barely
or I'd
bankrupt
just be
him, yeah.
paying for it anyway.
Yeah.
So what I do, because I insured him as the driver and he has his own vehicle, but I increased his rates, because of his experience, to a certain amount to protect me because he's on my policy.
Oh, you know what I did? I totally
Yeah.
forgot. The car's in my name, but she pays the insurance. Does that make sense? Am I
Yeah, well, you're
making that up?
married.
Yeah, but she's still there as a driver, and you probably have her primary vehicle set as X.
Good. Yeah. One of those things where I set it and forget
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I don't have. I guess I had the time when I did it,
Yeah.
but then I just like.
Yeah.
Until you
But
get the bill, right?
Right.
When it goes through you.
but
And then I
that
snap.
is something worth looking at, because like if you could reduce just her coverage because of what you're afraid of, if you were to drive her car, it's not about the car, it's about the driver.
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking over the insurance expert.
No, man.
I'm just an insured. I've never, but I try to be like ridiculously educated in everything I do in my life. So
Right. No, that's okay, man. And it's
So feel free to
I'm
tell me
always
if I'm
learning. I'm always
wrong.
learning with the insurance. The great thing at my office now. I was with Liberty for a few years. That was a great opportunity. It got me in, from out of the car business, and I was able to have a better quality of life because I was able to have a lot more time, for my family, for myself as well.
Yep.
And it was a really good experience to learn the insurance through Liberty. Now I'm at a place where I was, like I said, I was spinning my wheels. I'm at a different place. I was able to join this office here in Chicopee, EJ O'Neill. And they've been in business for over 120 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
They're a Chickabee staple.
They're a
Yeah,
Chicopee
no
staple.
kidding.
Yeah.
Over 120 years, and it's great. The vice president, Patrick, is wonderful. The whole family is great. And then we have our staff there. So besides the new person we just hired, Donnell, she came from Liberty as well. But the other person, the youngest person there, Heather, has been there for 9 years. And then all the other girls have been there for 20, 30, whatever years.
wow.
They
Yeah.
almost came with the place. You guys look young. You guys look great. But
So you have like an average tenure of 15 years or 20 years, which
everybody's
is
been there
awesome.
for a long time.
Everybody knows what they're doing.
Right.
That's
right.
great.
So it gives me the opportunity, to just be mobile. I can be as mobile as I need to, but if I need something at the office, I pick up the phone. Hey, can you guys do this for me? Or the great thing about technology is I can print something and not even be nowhere near the office. You know,
Yeah.
so that's great. But the girls are very knowledgeable. They're awesome people. And we want our customers to stay. And part of that is, me being vigilant, making sure that every year, before renewal, I'm there, making sure that my customers are getting the best price and the best service, and I handle all my servicing. My people call me and they're like, hey, I would need to add a car. Most of the time, this is the other thing. When I was at Liberty, it was a different thing. Servicing went through a customer service number somebody out in Georgia or Arizona.
Not
they
to
didn't
the
have the
person
best
who
interest in
knows
mind
them.
for your
Like,
customer.
I'm not calling to talk to Carlos. I'm talking to
Yeah.
Jane out in Georgia or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And it
Yeah,
sucked.
she has like a southern accent. You're like, where
Yeah,
am I calling?
Yeah. You ain't from Chicopee, are you?
Not at all. So what ended up happening, after a while, all my customers just had my cell phone number. I didn't allow anybody, to call the 1-800 number because you were just going to get mad. You're going to go shop around and you're going to leave. You know what I mean? So through word of mouth, through the past few years, I've developed a really nice clientele. It's been keeping me busy, and it's just wonderful people in our community in Chicopee, our friends. It's awesome. It's awesome. I don't have to spend a dime on marketing at all. It's just all word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it.
So you talked before about the minimums for a house. You said you were comfortable with 50, 100.
That's the minimum. Yeah. That's the minimum, and only because you injure somebody, $50,000 for one person. That's still low. You know what I mean? But at least you're being covered. You're being better covered at 50 and 100,000. Typically, if somebody owns a home, like yourselves, you might want higher liabilities, especially if you have teenage drivers. 250,000, 500,000 coverages, and also as far as liability goes, your home insurance, you definitely want at least anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 of liability. If you can get the $1 million liability too. I mean, it won't hurt you at all, but I mean, it'll help you.
Yeah.
Any kind of lawsuit, so you don't lose your home for anything dumb like that.
Yeah. So it's like I mean, well, you have dogs.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Your dogs are great.
Yes.
You have a not so great dog or a not so great person, more importantly, or that pisses your dog off. That's all on you.
Yeah.
That happens.
I'm so glad you mentioned
if it
the dog
exceeds that
things.
liability thing, and that's
Yeah.
always usually factored in. I mean, that's part of the questionnaire, whatever. But you don't know how bad that could be.
Well, I tell people all the time, if you think you're going to get hurt at my house, you got hurt out on the sidewalk.
Right. Hey, he fell on a knife 7 times. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I'll drag you out into the street.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you mentioned the dog thing because that's a really important question, especially for homeowners. Not every company will insure certain dogs. Your dogs are great, but if your dogs happen to be a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull, I happen to own 2 Pit Bulls myself. I love them.
It's breed based.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
breed.
Yeah.
Kind of racism for dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of times it's not the dog that's a bad person. It's the person that's raising that dog.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's a big thing, and certain companies are out there that will limit the amount of liability that they'll cover you for, because if that dog hurts a child, scars, oh my God, forget it. You could be in a world of hurt. Just
Really?
Oh yeah. Yep. That's one of the biggest things as far as insurance is dogs. Yep. And only certain companies. I will give Liberty Mutual credit. They will insure pit bulls. They believe that it's the dog has a chance to bite somebody, but if it hasn't yet, we're not going to discriminate against it. You know what I mean?
But it's probably reflected in the rate, and it's risk.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
risk based.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
My home represents a ridiculously unusual challenge because I have a big dog, and he's like a mutt. He's a we don't know. He's either a Labrador Great Dane or he's a Great Pyrenees Great Dane, which are all
boy.
they're huge and they're all super friendly, and he barks a lot, so he kind of falls into all. But I also have honeybees and chickens, so
Do you? That's great.
Oh yeah, so I called, and anytime I call for a new quote, they're like, we don't know how to do this. They're like, so you have chickens? And I'm like, yes. Like I called, I've been with I've Geico for my auto, and because I've shopped around a bunch.
We'll talk later. No, just kidding.
And that's fine.
Strike one.
No, and that's fine. I'm always open for saving money. That's
absolutely.
But my homeowners has relayed, has remained at my agent where I've switched 2 or 3 times in my auto, but because I don't have to explain anything else. And, every time I tried switching, because it was going to be a ridiculous discount to switch everything to Geico, even though they sub their home.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's not through them. They're like, we don't know what to do. Like you're not a farm. I'm like, no, I'm not a farm. Like, but you have these things, and I'm like, yeah, I do. Like,
we have parts of farms.
Yeah,
Parts of farms, right.
and I'm like, well, your chickens, pets. I'm like, well, I don't invite them inside. They don't sit on my lap. And like when you have, and I don't even know if I told them about the honeybees. Like I'm gonna say like I have 2 honeybee hives. Like people are allergic to honeybees.
Yeah,
so it's like
crazy, right? Yeah,
like my bees could fly over 3 yards and sting someone, and prove it's my honeybee, I guess. Sting print them. I don't know what that is. Like
forensics files.
Prove it came from the DNA of the queen. I don't know how that works, but like I don't. So I've stayed with the same homeowner's place and I tried switching, and then I got all these other kinds of weird, had nothing to do with the freaking bees and chickens. Ironically enough, it had to do with the moss on my roof. We don't care about the bees that can literally kill somebody, but we're worried about the water damage. It's all specific. Your needs, your and your coverage. You got to boil it down, but there's always an opportunity to save money. Is the point? Is everyone's needs are specific, and the best thing that I've found, and unfortunately I go with Geico because I have found that has been the best option for me on auto.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm not knocking that. I'm always good for saving money too.
Yeah.
I would go with Geico if I was saving a ridiculous amount of money.
But
Probably.
I did, for a long time, I was with a local agent because honestly, number one was the service, and a lot of those needs for service kind of went away for me. But B was because I knew they were always out for my best interest. Now I take a little bit more of my own time to do that shopping around, like we talked about, where it was like, not everybody does that, like check their stuff year after year to make sure it's the best. I still do that, and I will gladly, I'd say gladly, because it's still can be a pain in the ass, but I will happily go away from someone if I, because it really is, it boils down to A, service. I can't knock who I'm currently with for service,
Right.
And B, and price, but I'm all about service. Like if I have a problem, I want to know that I can like have someone on the phone.
That's a huge for me.
Absolutely.
I want to call somebody
and talk to them, about what's going on. And that was one of the biggest things that I loved about having, a local agent. And then, based on my situation, it did work out better for me to change some of those things up.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And, I get those calls. I'll get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just got into an accident. It's like, it's Sunday. But okay, you know what I mean? I don't tell them that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just drop. A lot of my customers just don't know. There is a number they can call to put a claim in, or, call the police first, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of calls like that. People just don't know. And, since I'm their agent, I have no problem because that's what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Call me when you need to. I mean,
you go to what
Yeah.
and there are countless instances where like you go to where like Carlos, it's your first time meeting, so you're meeting me as a client, for the first time. What's like the top 10 questions that either you're going to ask, and B, I need to be ready to answer for you to really benefit the both of us and kind of move things forward.
Right. So what I would do as your agent, I'd pick your brain to see what you know about the insurance process. A lot of people just don't know anything about it. So then what I do is I will explain to them exactly what their coverages are, and it's even easier if they have someone like Progressive or Geico. And like I said, it just doesn't matter. But if they have the insurance for the lowest price, I'm able to sit there and compare and show them the differences. Apples for apples, what they're paying for, and what, how important it is to them to have a certain amount of coverage.
Yeah.
If their coverage is 20/40, I'll explain to them why that's not the greatest thing. I mean, yeah, you'll save money depending on who you're with, but saving money in lieu of coverage is definitely not the best way to go.
Yeah. So this is cheaper, but this is why it's cheaper, and this is why it could,
because you can't go
help
back.
or harm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hurt yourself. I mean, and by that, I mean financially if you don't have the right coverage. And a lot of people just don't know that because you don't have somebody explaining it to them. Maybe it's their first time they have insurance. Homeowners insurance is a big thing. That's That's the one that I really get in depth with my customers, because you want to make sure their home is covered. And there's so many different endorsements that you can pick, whether it's the water sewage backup. There's so many things that, I mean, people just don't think of until it happens to them.
So what's the most common thing that people think that their house is covered on, but they're not?
Let's say a fence falls, a tree from your neighbor's yard falls on your fence. Whose responsibility is that?
Well, you would think it would be the neighbors.
You would think it's not.
Oh, is it really?
It's on your property. It's your problem.
Damn it, really?
Yeah.
So I got to take care of that. Now, do I have to cut the tree right to his property?
Yeah, that'd
And
be
then he
beneficial. Let them take care of their end. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's a lot of little things. I mean, it just depends on your coverage.
And so are they responsible for your fence though?
No, it's your insurance. So see, as a tree fell on it, doesn't matter.
Because the insurance would probably take care of me, but then go after his insurance probably.
Well,
Or how does that?
It depends on your coverage as well. I mean, you also have a cleanup, a clean endorsement. I mean, as far as, cleaning your yard. I mean, some of them is like $5,000. It just depends on what you want for coverage. The other thing is like electric connections from the street to your house. I mean, if anything, there's a certain amount of coverage that you'll get. If let's say you get a lightning strike on your house, that's great, you're covered. But let's say something happens on the street. If you don't have a certain endorsement from the cities, from the city, that their responsibility to fix it, you could be in danger too. I mean, so it's just wanting to understand your coverage, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you just definitely want to understand your coverage. There's a lot of different endorsements.
Now, what about water? Because that's a
Water.
big thing with me.
Yep.
This house has been plagued with water issues.
Yep.
And thank God that we caught them right off the rip. But, we could be gone sometime and something might happen. So I have a couple fail safes that we had put in now.
Yep. Sump pumps and things like that.
Oh, I have alarms and stuff that'll let me
Okay.
know when things go awry.
Yep.
Automatic shutoffs if something happens.
That's awesome.
So
Those are money savers too, like automatic shutter. You see, those things are great. Those are mitigation. That's awesome. And those kind of things could save you money.
yeah,
Just having those things in place.
It's like an anti-theft device on your car. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
save
yeah.
you 10% or whatever.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's letting the people know that you have that. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Now, how do I whack the wife and get insurance money without being caught?
That's
Have
tough.
you figured
yeah.
that out?
No, I haven't yet, man. I'll let you know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Sorry, honey. Sorry, honey.
Right. That's why I have an ex,
Yeah.
Shoot. Man, she's probably had me whacked so
Yeah.
many times,
Well, at least we know that your wife is safe for at least the next 20 to 30 years, because now that's documented that, or you can edit it out.
I can edit it right now. Yeah,
Oh,
it never
that's
happened. That's the great thing about these. It never happened.
Never happened.
Yeah, so I mean, even with I think that was confusing. Like for me, for years, I had the minimum for my car insurance, and it was the same thing. We met somebody at my last job that said to me, "Listen, man, you have a family. Like these are all the things that you're liable for if something bad happens. It's one of those things you'd rather have it." And one thing that he said that was really important to me was, when you're sitting down in front of me after an accident and there's nothing I can do for you, that's when you're going to say to me, I should have done something more.
That's like the "I told you so" moment. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And that really clicked with me. So every single time my company has said you have to have this, and you look at that number and you're like, man, that's just like crazy. But then when you actually do the math, it's not that much more than what I was paying before
Right.
for that much more coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it makes perfect sense.
Well, it's like health insurance. I mean, in these days, you have to have health insurance. Like you're federally mandated to have some form of health insurance, and people are like, oh, I don't want to pay, X dollars or X dollars and X dollars. And sure, depending on your health level and everything like that, you may feel it's not worth the value until you see what the actual cost is when something does happen.
Right.
Yep.
So for instance, you don't have pet insurance, I imagine, and I know it exists.
Yeah.
But you
So-
don't. But
Right after the first dog got sick, that was it.
exactly. So this is like a real world example.
Yep.
Like you can appreciate the value of pet insurance, and I was in sales for a long time selling extended warranties, and and that's not that is an optional insurance.
It is, right.
Auto insurance is not. Homeowners insurance is not. At least in the state of Massachusetts, those two things are not. Medical insurance is not on a nationwide basis.
Right.
So I used to kind of sell that, and as much as I was selling something, I believed in it, where it's like, you are, you're kind of forced to have auto insurance, but you're happy you are when you have an accident. You're forced to have homeowners insurance when you're happy you are when there's something that happens with your home or someone around, on your household or in your house.
Absolutely.
So it's a small price to pay, whatever it is for nobody wants to get sick, but you're happy when the insurance is there. No one wants to get in an accident, but you're happy the insurance is there.
Right.
So why shortchange yourself, because when it is the worst of times, you want to know you have that person that you can call, even though it's not the person you need to call at midnight on a Sunday, because you got in an accident, that's what you pay for.
Right.
And it's worth every penny to be like, even though if, I wouldn't call Carlos at midnight on a Sunday to tell him I got in a car accident, I would probably know to call whatever the claims department is or whatever.
Right.
I'm glad that I have someone to call. And that's the important part. And like a lot of people don't realize, like, that coverage, even if it is an extra $10 or $20 a month or, however it adds up to be, it's customized for exactly what you have going on in your life. And sometimes that increases, sometimes that decreases. Like
one of the things like rental car coverage, or even towing, the roadside assistance. And, I'll give my customers a price and give them the choice. This is what it is with the roadside assistance and rental car coverage. And a lot of them will just forego it. And I'm like, okay, but just sign off here. You know what I mean? And usually about a month later, or even less than that, most times, hey, I had to have my car towed. And that's going to cost them a lot more than having the coverage, originally.
Yeah, that conversation's funny. Carlos had my car towed. That really sucked.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And the rental car coverage.
The $200 I spent to get my car towed was probably...
tow coverage. Like, you get your towed card, like, your car towed, like, every 2 years. Once every 2 years, and it, like, pays for your towage, tow coverage. Same thing with rental car insurance. Like, especially these days, rental cars are out of
Buddy, $150 to rent a car?
So listen
not even
to
a nice
this
car. Like, I'm talking like a pedal car. Like, you got to pedal it yourself.
Yeah, a friend of mine just visited us from Florida.
Yeah.
Thank God that another friend of ours drove. So instead of renting a car, he flew to Jersey, Newark. My friend from Staten Island picked him up, drove him over here. So basically, all my Xbox friends got together, and we all met each other for the first time, about a month or so ago. And he told me the price of the rent-a-car. I almost choked.
It's crazy.
Oh my God, it's nuts.
I was like, when did that happen? Because we haven't had to rent a car in years.
I travel a lot, and like I essentially rented a very similar vehicles over the last 2 or 3 years. And
do you rent cars that are only 5 years old?
No, I rent whatever the cheapest one is. That's
like, you're talking cheapest. Are you talking like Prius cheap, or are you talking?
No,
like
I'm talking what fits.
Chevy. Yeah,
I'm talking what fits my family. Like, and I mistakenly, I can't say mistakenly, I did it intentionally, but I did rent, I'm trying to think where we were, a vehicle that I knew, I went to Florida last year. I rented a vehicle that I knew was too small. Actually, it wasn't too small, but we added on a guest. It was a 5-seater.
Yeah.
And we ended up with 6, in our travel plans. And, someone, my youngest son had to sit in the back, with luggage piled on top of him or him.
Yeah, because you have to think about that. You have 3 kids. You have luggage. Do you take the dog with you?
No, we don't travel with the dog, but my oldest son does have he's got a steady girlfriend, that we invite her, and work some things out with getting her to travel with us when she wants. So we did travel to Florida, and one of them had we knew the amount of space issues would be limited, so we went with that.
Yep.
But so aside from that, just my price in like renting cars, because as I stated, we did the gymnastics thing for a while. I mean, I rented in I want to say this is probably 2 years ago, maybe 3, an Escalade, like the big Escalade.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and we drove from Vegas. We went to L.A. Because the boys had a tournament in gymnastics tournament in Los Angeles, in Vegas, and we drove to L.A. and spent the week in L.A. and flew out of there.
That's awesome.
Just earlier this year, for me to rent a like Suburban. It was the GMC the Denali XL. It cost me twice as much as what I rented an Escalade for like 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
It might have been
nuts.
more than twice as much, but again, like you said, I have a family of 5. We're traveling for a week. Sometimes it's 6.
It's not cheap.
I can't have a small vehicle,
Right?
and my family, I don't want to say trained, but they're pretty well conditioned. We travel a lot. They're pretty much carry on only. Like we don't check baggage because those are the cheapest flights. And if we do check baggage, it's 1 bag for 5 of us, and it's the overflow.
Right.
But still, like fitting 5 people plus 5 even carry-ons and maybe 1 check bag, that doesn't happen in a sedan.
Yeah.
It barely happens in a small to mid-size SUV.
Yeah.
We're jammed no matter what. So I'm always renting the big things. And yeah, the price of rental cars is just, it's blown up. I couldn't believe my rental car when I flew to Colorado over the summer cost me more than it took to fly 5 people out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's good. I went to go rent a car. I went on vacation with my sons. Well, actually, just my older son. I think it was in August. We usually go to Virginia. We have a timeshare, so I just take them wherever, And the car that I have now wasn't getting delivered on time. It was going to take a couple weeks. So I was looking to rent the car. Man, $150 a day.
Yeah, per day.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's so expensive.
And that's like a small sedan.
$30. You know what I mean?
That's what it was. Like a small sedan. Like what was that? Is that a Ford or a Subaru?
The Subaru Legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah.
That's a couple years ago. That's a $40-$50 a day rental. That's
Right.
it's a $500-$600 a week car.
Easily now. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So what about the insurance? So how does that work? Because before you used to have to buy insurance.
Right. So the rental car with the prices that are so the wonderful thing is that these companies like MapFree, Commerce, Plymouth Rock already have deals set up with certain rental car companies like Hertz, Enterprise, and each company has their own deal with it. So they actually hold the prices for them. Like if we have rental car coverage goes like this. You get $30 a day or $900 up to the full occurrence. So, they'll pay up to $900, or you can get, more coverage. You get $45 a day up to like $1,500 per occurrence or whatever. But the rental car companies, they have a really good partnership with the insurance companies, and they're able to hold those prices for them. So you're not really you're not paying $150 prices if you didn't have the coverage. Now, here's the thing, though. I mean, the only way you're going to get a rental car is if, for the coverage, if you got into an accident or something. So it's not like you can just, call your insurance company or call your insurance guy and say, hey, I have rental car coverage. I want to go rent the car today. It doesn't work like that. You literally, your car has to be disabled in a certain way, accidental or whatever, and towed to a certain shop. And then, you do the claim, and then they provide you with the service.
So what if I'm just going to go rent a car? Like no accidents involved. I just don't want to take my car. Like my neighbor, every time he travels, rents a car.
Oh, that's a great question. So the whole they want to say the $6 a day insurance,
right? So if you have collision, you don't have to buy their insurance. The reason why they want you to buy their insurance is if you don't have collision on your policy, and it's really important because without collision, like I said, the insurance follows you, so your insurance policy will follow you. If you hit a light post and you don't have collision and you didn't buy their insurance, you're liable out of pocket. So that's why they make you sign it. But if you have collision on your policy already, you don't have to buy their insurance, and that's a saver. I mean, people spend a lot of money when a rental car companies they get you with that insurance.
And so, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you are the insurance guy. I'm driving someone else's car, so I have my car. I have a $500 deductible, right? Now I drive your car, and I wreck it one way or the other. Do I still have that $500 deductible?
Yes.
Okay, so I still carry my own deductible, regardless of whose vehicle is, but my coverage follows me, including my deductible. So if I'm driving a rental car and I have a $500 deductible,
same thing.
So if and this is important. So if an insurance company is pitching me their $6 a day insurance, right, and I know I have a $500 deductible, and I'm renting that for a week, so 7 days. So I know that insurance is going to cost me $32. Did I do my math right?
How many days?
7 times 6.
42.
42. All right.
It's that shitty wine, man. That's what it's. You're probably good at math with this one.
It's a summer blush. That's a blush.
This should come with aspirin, by the way.
I'm usually pretty good at math. So if I'm like, all right, well, I kind of understand I'm a shitty driver. It's $42 versus $500. So now I have like that, $438 risk, $58 risk. But I am covered it's still going to include my own deductible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So and that's an important thing because, you've rented cars before. So and you do insurance. So and I'm curious about that. Do you kind of correct them if they misstate things? Let's say you've rented a car and they're like, oh, well, your insurance company isn't going to cover you. And you're like,
yeah.
Because I do that and I'm not even like the expert. Like I have no problem calling people out.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's actually to the point now that I actually have a really decent reputation with, or I have connections with, Enterprise and Hertz and stuff. So I only deal with people that I really know, and so they know not to give me the spiel. Or if I send my customers over there, I usually send my customer with a declarations page so that they know what kind of coverage they have.
Yeah.
Just here, give this to the agent over there, the Enterprise or whatever. They'll see the coverage. They don't even bother you.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
Yeah.
But if you want to pay that extra $6, you're more than welcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Save
So
money.
I'm never when I'm renting a car, and I have been able to take advantage, and it's usually been because of other people being involved in an accident with me. They're at fault, so I take advantage of their rental cover, their coverage. I don't take advantage of it, I'll be honest, but only because I usually have an extra car. I'm like a car person, so I usually have multiple cars that I can drive. I'll just take the spare car,
Just a spare car.
Oh, listen to this guy on top of the hill.
Right. No. I'm not saying it's a nice car. I said it's a spare car.
Yeah.
I'll
take the Lamborghini today.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No.
Right.
I'm going to take the 81 Country Squire wagon.
Oh my goodness!
And I have the 81 Country Squire
Yeah,
wagon.
I do.
That's a real
Yeah.
thing.
It's a real thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
No, I have the Griswold family truckster in my
That
driveway.
is awesome.
So I might
legit.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it may not be a luxurious spare car, but I do have something to fall back on. So I do turn it down. But I've also always said, and this was I'm thankful for you for correcting me. I've always said that when you're driving someone else's vehicle, even those things like deductibles don't fall into place because it's not your primary vehicle.
Right.
So I'm glad that so I know that now that if I am driving, a rental car, I still got to come up with 500 or 1,000, whatever I have my deductible set at for collision. And that's only is effective if you have collision. So if you're bare bones driving a 1981 Country Squire wagon on its own with no collision, because you're not required to, based on not having financing on it, I'd be responsible for the full.
You would be responsible
if that's listed as my primary vehicle.
Right.
Okay. Because the 81 Country Squire is on my policy.
He wants to make sure.
And I don't want any rental car company saying, "Well, you drive this piece of shit." So
we're gonna charge you extra for
funny.
driving that.
The actual damages to the vehicle were $1,600, but just on the embarrassment of us having to loan this vehicle to you, we're gonna charge you an extra $500 because you drive the Queen family truckster.
Yeah, I love it.
Now, what about for because we started camping this year? A golf cart. How do I insure a golf cart?
So there are a couple companies that will insure, like Safeco. I have Safeco too as one of my carriers, and we can actually insure things like that: golf carts, recreational vehicles.
It's almost strictly like a liability policy, right? Because I just got a seasonal. I know we talked about that.
Oh, you did get a seasonal?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'll have to catch up on that.
And they're requiring a liability policy
Right.
on a golf cart if we have one. So I will be talking to you about that.
So some people have said it falls under their homeowners insurance, and then other people are saying that, and it might be their particular insurance company doesn't do that, and then it falls under a motorcycle policy.
So it depends on your uses. If you're going to use it recreationally, it'd be outside your property. But if the golf cart's in, at the home and you hurt somebody at your home, your home.
You're not at your home.
Yeah, liability. Your homeowner's liability would cover
so
that.
That's maybe what it was. They consider your camper, if it's a seasonal, because it's stationary, an extension of your home.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so side of my home, I have a camper on a seasonal site, and they can consider
Well,
that.
no, hold on.
Yeah.
Forgive me. So the camper itself, you have to get insurance on that.
So it is insured.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing that. I mean, you have a plate. You're getting that thing registered and everything.
It's
No,
already
it's-
it's already registered.
Well, it's parked. And
Right.
it's well,
Well, yours is.
Well,
Mine
yours
mine
is-
still has a plate on it because I have a site. See, I don't have a pure seasonal site yet.
Okay.
So for me, I have to take it. So all of next year, it'll be parked in one spot. Hopefully, at the end of that year, I get a seasonal site, and we just move it the day that we have to get off our site. But if not, then it means I have to pull it back to my friend's house that it's being stored at.
but no matter what, your golf cart's never gonna be. It's not gonna be operated at your home at all.
Right.
So like, where does that? So I think, and again, I don't want to take anything away from
No,
what
it's
you already
okay.
know, but I'm going to tell you kind of what my understanding of it is, and I'm always welcome for.
And I don't know
corrections.
everything,
Yeah.
I have good reference of things, but
Sure.
And this is so I just signed some papers last week, and they basically said if you're gonna have a golf cart, you have to show proof of insurance of X amount of dollars, and I think you said like $500,000 or something like that, or maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
But there was a dollar amount, and I didn't know where that fell. Like, do I have to insure the actual golf cart if I get one, and or do I just have to carry a personal liability policy? Almost like a general contractor would, or does it fall in my camper? Like that, I'm actually like super curious about that as well.
yeah. So you would definitely insure your golf cart.
Yeah.
You definitely insure your golf cart just like you insure your trailer. At some point, those things are mobile. You know what I mean? If they're not on your property, if they're stationary at your home, I mean, of course, it's an extension, to whatever's there, your property and stuff. But definitely want to get those things insured, especially if you have a loan on it and stuff, especially on your trailer.
Yeah.
Definitely want to make sure everything's covered.
Yeah. So the camper is definitely covered. Like
Yeah.
that's totally
camper's covered.
legit.
Travel trailer, right? That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
And even in order for me to show up with a golf cart and drive it at the campground, I have to show them some sort of
Yeah.
The declarations
liability coverage.
Right.
And I didn't know where that was going to come from because I have homeowners and
So
usually
do you mind saying on air what they bagged you for that?
for the seasonal.
No, for the golf cart, the price to insure it.
No, I haven't even. I don't know a golf cart. So
Okay.
I'm trying to figure all that out. Like A, I'm shopping for a golf cart, and B, I'm trying to figure out how the hell I insure it.
Very inexpensive. It's very inexpensive for things
Yeah,
like that.
most personal liability coverage. I know that general contractors and guys let's just say you pour concrete and you're gonna pour concrete pads or you're gonna plow driveways. You want a lot of businesses want $1 million liability policy.
Right.
Just if you're driving a pickup truck with a plow on it because they want to make sure you're not going to wreck customers' cars or their property or whatever. But $1 million personal liability policy, correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of pennies on it.
It
Less
really
than
is.
pennies on
It's
a
not.
dollar.
It's not more.
Yeah.
It's not a huge expenditure. It really isn't. The difference between a $500,000 liability and $1 million liability is probably maybe $7-10.
That's it, really?
Yeah, it's not much.
Oh, wow.
It's not
Yeah.
much.
See, I think
Unless
that's
you're doing something really crazy, you're just
Yeah,
right.
I'm going to start a skydiving company
With my golf cart.
Now you got with my golf cart. Now you got planes and parachutes that need to be packed correctly, and a golf cart with wings, and there's it's going to be a lot of money to insure that.
let's go.
But just you're a drunk driving around. I'm sorry. You're a fun camper driving around on a golf
responsible
cart
camper.
in a restricted area with a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit where everybody yells at you for going faster. It's going to be $6 a year.
So do you have any crazy insurance companies or I can't even talk right now. Crazy insurance stories.
Oh, man.
what's that one that they show with all the stuff on the walls?
the State Farm.
State Farmers, yeah.
I mean, is there anything that you can share?
Oh man. Well, I've had a couple tragedies. You know what I mean, with some of my clients. Throughout the years.
No tragedies.
Yeah.
We'd like funny.
Don't bring us down,
Yeah,
Carlos.
yeah,
Don't bring us
wanna
down.
You guys down. So,
Yeah, funnier, humorous. Or surprising
nothing
ones would
really
be cool.
that sticks out right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll.
There's so many tragedies that are just they really sucked, but they're not
the tragedies
horrible.
suck, man.
But are they really horrible, or are they
Well, yeah. I mean, I had one customer a couple years ago run some guy over purposely.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Well, purposely, it might have been funny at one point.
Well, yeah, right.
Oh man.
But
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I never thought about doing it.
That's
You know
what
what
I was saying,
But
but yeah,
I
but
just
it-
don't
that-
want to
this
go to
guy
jail.
literally did. I mean, from what I understood in the story. So this is the thing about this certain thing. The guy, this certain customer actually called me. I did his policy. About 2 weeks later, comes up to the office. This is when I was with Liberty. And he's like, hey, somebody's doing really bad stuff to my car. I want to put comprehensive because he only had basic. So we put comprehensive so that he's covered for vandalism. Well, they vandalized his car. About a week after that, after the coverage, is that same person that vandalized his car. He caught him doing it again, and he ran him over right in Springfield. And that was it. Now he's doing 18 years in prison.
Ugh.
Yep. And
I'm gonna be honest. I probably would be
Yeah,
also
like,
doing 18 years in prison.
If I was on the jury, I'd probably be like, he's innocent.
I don't. It's a
I mean, I might not
crazy
use
story.
the car, to be honest.
Well, actually, you get less. I think you get less amount of time if you use the car, which I'm not promoting, by the way.
Depends.
Okay.
I'm just
It
saying.
would all depend on how it was determined.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
this
so
guy
you-
was
so-
determined.
I'm going to use my non-legal law brain. So we're already showing, I won't call it premeditation, but we know there's an issue already, right? So,
Yeah,
So we
right.
called, we increased coverage. We know there's an issue, and we probably suspect it's a certain person. So, like, we want our car to be covered, and then we come out and, like, even though our car is still covered, we're like, oh, F this. Even though I'm covered, I still want to run this guy over. So from a legal sense, it looks bad because it's like, well, you knew there was an
Yeah.
issue. Maybe calling your insurance company wasn't the right step. Maybe like a restraining order or whatever.
And you know what? I suggested that to him.
Yeah.
At the time, I said, "Listen, if this guy's doing stuff to your car, man, you'd probably to get the police." But he just kept on letting it go. This was a feud, I guess, between them that's just been boiling over.
Yeah.
Finally, the guy had a bad day at work or whatever, came home and saw the guy doing that thing to his car. It was covered. He's
That's what I'm saying. Or just let your insurance cover it and let
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
because insurance companies.
That's what he paid for.
Well, hey, listen. Yeah, that's what you pay for. And B, they don't want to pay money when they don't have to. So they'll find.
Oh, we know all about that.
And they'll find who should be paying.
Right.
So yeah, but like, hey, that's cool, man. I'm covered. I got Carlos over at E.J. O'Neill. He's got me, and they're gonna come after you. And
Right.
they'll run you over. They'll run over you, proverbially and but not literally.
yeah. Right. Oh my goodness, that's great. So yeah, I mean, I wish I had some, really funny stories, but it's insurance, so it's really, when things go wrong, it's never a good thing
Yeah.
for my customers. Somebody's hurting. Whether it's somebody got their house broken into or whatever, that happens. Rain destroys all the stuff in their house because they had a roof leak.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's
a lot
the
of things you don't
majority of
have.
that stuff is not. It's things you're not happy to hear, but things you're happy to know that you know what you can tell people, hey, we got
Right.
you, you're covered, and that's
Right.
I think that's the most admirable part of the insurance industry is like
It's a very rewarding.
like we got you,
Yeah.
like we got you,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
or let's find a way that we can get you, or I love that part of the insurance industry.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, like I said, I have, for me, the best job that I've ever had in my life. I mean, I love it. I enjoy it. And it's one of those things that, I get renewals. I don't have to go chasing people. Like selling cars, I mean, geez, that business, it helped me out throughout the years, making money to, support myself and my family. But, man, does it take a toll on you.
Sure.
You're constantly on the grind. And I am right now. I'm still constantly on the grind. But it's a totally different grind, It's a little bit more my pace. I have, I can work on my own time. The best thing about it is that I don't have to be at a certain place to sell inventory. I can I get a call. Hey, yeah, no problem. I'll write this, I'll do a quote for you. And that's it. I can do my job from anywhere at any time. And it's not really consuming, like selling inventory. You're not selling
and
inventory.
is like, as long as you're doing right by your clients and you continue to do those right things and you're shopping for them and,
Right.
and finding the thing that best suits their needs, it's not like a car where like, well, taste change. Well, taste doesn't change in insurance. Your needs change in insurance.
There you go.
But your
So
taste
true, Brett.
doesn't change. It's just like,
That's a good point.
That
you
is
know,
a very good point. Yeah.
like, oh, I want the new stylish insurance. Well, okay, now you're battling marketing, but
I want the new
whatever.
Telluride insurance.
Yeah, I want that. I want the new fancy
Right, right.
insurance. I saw like with this fancy lines, and it's got nice headlights.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with that. It's just like it's all about the service you provide and making sure that you're adapting to their needs.
and you're right. The needs is having
Yeah.
a child. You know what I mean?
Everything
That's coming
changes.
to a driving age. Oh my God.
And people don't realize how much your insurance needs change.
Dude, my daughter went out to Boston, and I love my daughter, right? She has the biggest heart in the world. So she works at a veterinarian hospital, and her guinea pig looked like he had some kind of infection.
Mhm.
So she's driving 2 hours out to Boston to go see a guinea pig specialist to have some teeth work done.
Oh my God.
And she's spending a pretty decent amount of money to do this.
I know the pet lovers are going to hate me, but we're talking about like an $8 guinea pig. Right?
I gotta tell you though, I totally respect the fact that because in this house we will do.
No, you guys are pet. You guys are pet 100%.
We
No,
are, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
but
don't-
just to rephrase,
Well,
we're
don't-
talking about an $8 guinea pig.
Yeah,
right?
don't think
Okay,
that thought
all right,
didn't
just-
cross
just
my
check,
mind.
Just
You know
check.
what I mean? Because it
Just
did.
check.
It did. And so she took my wife's car today to go out there, and then they told her it's going to be way longer than she thought, so she drove all the way back, and then she has to go back out there again to go get him, and then drive all the way back.
Man.
And I'll tell you, my mind's going crazy. I don't know if she's even home yet or not. But when she first started driving, God, I was going out of my mind.
I believe it.
Because of course, like the day she gets her license, she's like, "All right, Dad, I'm gonna go to Dunkin' Donuts." I'm like, "Oh my God, can't you just wait? Why do you have to go out already? You just got your license like 5 minutes ago." But I can remember when I got my license, I was out that night.
Yeah.
I picked up Carl, Chris, all those guys, and we were out.
That's
Dude.
great.
My son flipped a Jeep with his 2 brothers in it
Oh Jesus!
4 months after getting his license.
Oh my God!
I'm a fucking mess. Sorry there for the F-bomb. I'm not anymore, but it was probably the most humbling
Oh yeah.
experience. Nothing could have aligned how he drives better for a teenage driver, but holy shit, did my life turn upside down knowing that like I could have lost everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's I don't even want to know what that
I know
must feel
Dunkin'
like. Yeah.
Donuts and
Well, I told her, I
Yeah.
said, do me a favor. So I mapped it all out for her. I'm like, all right, you go down the street, take a right. It'll be a right. When you pull out, take a right, go take another right, come back up the hill. Like, it's easier for you to take rights right now.
Right.
And then make sure when you're in a parking lot, my wife just looks at me, she goes, stop. Stop. Just let her go do her thing. And I'm like, but you know, it's funny because with my son, teaching him how to drive, that boy was on the gas pedal like you wouldn't believe.
oh yeah,
And I'm looking at him like, dude, don't you ever take your foot off the gas? He's like, shut up, dude.
only to stop.
Yeah, but I would watch. and, like, cars were coming out of side streets, and his foot never waved. I'm like, don't you anticipate him pulling out? No.
Oh my
If he
God.
pulls out, it's his fault. I'm like, but it's my side of the door. You know what I mean? Like,
It's my insurance.
yeah, dude, come on. And I think he's a
Oh,
lot
my
better
goodness.
now, but he used to be a crazy man when he used to drive. And so I got so nervous that I didn't teach her to drive. My wife did.
Really?
Yeah, and it's tough with my wife with a brain injury to have to be under that kind of stress.
Yeah.
Teaching her how to drive, but it worked good because I would have flipped. You know, one wrong move and I would have been like, all right, fuck, bring the car back to the house. We're done.
Oh
You
my
know,
goodness.
And I'm normally not like that, but when it comes to driving, I am very when you drive as much as I do, and you have this
You
like
see all the madness.
Yeah.
You see all the stupidity on the road when you drive that much. Like
Right.
I said it before, I leave the house like once a week. And when we do travel and we do a lot of driving,
Sure.
like we actually, I can't say once a week because we do try to make like a lot of weekend trips and stuff like that. And I think more than ever now, you know, since I'm not driving, not even to work every day, I am like alarmed by some of the less than admirable practices on the road, I guess we'll call it.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of what the fuck is this guy doing type more than ever, and maybe it's because I'm less exposed and people are getting less skillful at driving.
Yeah.
To be politically correct at the same time, but it's horrible. And you're wound a little tighter than I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Really?
well, because I'm submerged in that
Yeah.
traffic all day long.
Because
Like,
that's a big part
Yeah,
of it. Like
and-
that's like
and I see people do the most crazy things when they drive. Like, first of all, public service announcement: the left-hand lane is not a travel lane.
Right.
And I deal with that from Boston all the way home all the time. and they would just get in that lane, and they don't even think twice. The other 2 lanes could be open all the way down. Nope, we're going to stay in that lane, in that left-hand lane. Yep.
69.
Oh my God. Would
72.
that frustrate me?
And I'm going out of my mind. Get out of the bar. You know?
I'm a little bit about the same on that regard.
Yeah. And it's just like, it never fails, man. It's Friday when I'm trying to get home. You see all these accidents. I'm thinking to myself, can't we just calm down? Because now your stupidity just caused thousands of people not to be able to get home. And that pike, as far as I'm concerned, is an antiquated system to begin with. Like, we need to burn that thing and start over. And to make it worse is the way people drive. And number one, I don't think trucks should be in a left-hand lane whatsoever. I think those should be in the right-hand lane.
Well, there's rules.
Yeah.
So on a 2-lane highway, trucks only allowed in the left-hand lane
To pass.
for a certain period of time. In a 3-lane highway, a semi-trailer is not allowed
All do it.
in a far left lane legally at all.
Really?
Really?
Even in the state?
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know that.
Maybe they see.
And I could be wrong because again I'm not a trucker, but I almost specifically remember reading, in a 2-lane highway, a truck can be a semi. And I don't know if there's restrictions on length and weight and blah 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 blah. You can only be in that left-hand lane for a certain period of time. You have to be demonstrated as passing. You have to be, and it's only like for a certain distance. But if you're in a 3-lane highway, I don't think a semi-trailer, on the Mass Pike where most of it is 3 lanes, I don't think they can be.
They are
in that far left
lane.
lane. And again, I could be wrong, but
And they all do it when they're going uphill.
And
then next thing you know, you look in your rearview mirror and there's like 50 cars behind you that are all like,
especially when they have a heavy load.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I had something scary happen. Like, my thing is, I've always wondered, like, if the shit hits the fan, what's that going to look like for traffic, right? Because if you got to get out somewhere, that's a legit concern, right? So I'm coming down 146 from Rhode Island, back up, and there was a car fire all the way up where the exit kind of would be to get on to the Mass Pike.
Yeah,
and the traffic was just unbelievable, right? So I'm looking at my GPS. I'm not even close to the exit. I mean, nothing's moving. Everybody's freaking out. I got people getting out of their cars and just talking to each other because, half an hour, you haven't moved an inch.
That's crazy.
People shutting their cars off. I even had a state trooper that was behind me. He was locked in. So everybody's getting out of their cars, and I look at him, and he's like, I'm stuck with you guys, man. I'm sure he could have gotten the breakdown lane and went off, but he was toughing it out like with the rest of us. Finally, we creep enough. I see the exit. I'm like, I'm just going to take that exit. Well, it was so insane that the local police departments were at every single intersection I couldn't even tell you how many intersections I had to go through. They were doing crowd control, trying to get everybody going.
Wow.
And they weren't even making a dent. Not even a dent. So I'm going through all these little neighborhoods and stuff, and I'm like, where am I?
Right.
Then I'm thinking to myself, man, if something ever bad happened, I had to get home, forget about it. I'm better off just to get out and walk at a certain point. And then it took me like 3 hours to get home.
That's crazy.
And it's normally like a 50-minute ride from there. Almost 3 hours. I was so pissed off when I got home. But, so now even like Route 20, trying to skip the Pike and go to 20, forget it. You might as well just go back on the Pike and wait.
Yeah, but you're driving an SUV. I mean, you could always hop the curb and drive the shoulder, drive the grass.
But my fault. I mean, my thing would be I would do that, and then something would break, and I would have to pay. So I don't ever go outside of those parameters. Like, I don't push the envelope.
No, I'm saying if shit really went down.
Oh, I would carve my own path.
I'd be up
you know
there.
what I mean?
I drive an SUV, so I drive a big SUV. I'll drive to whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
But I also have a big.
The problem on the Pike is you can't really do that because you'd only get so far, unless, I guess you could maybe find one of those exit and blast through the gate, but the way it's made, I think they make that purposely so you can't do anything because they have all the big divots and drainage stuff. And
oh, yeah.
I think you'd only get so far before
I can make shit work.
Yeah?
If I really need to get to it, I can make it work.
We're going to have to try it one of these days. Now, how do I ensure that if I have to find out the hard way.
Wow, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, so just call your agent, and be like, listen, I want to drive. I want to drive like along the pike, but not really on the
Right.
pike.
I want to weave in and out of the woods at a high rate of speed.
Oh my goodness.
So now, what about dash cams?
Dash games? Great tools.
I have a very sophisticated camera system in my car,
Do you really?
which I'm actually going to upgrade to an absurd camera system in my car. So years ago, I'm coming down Westfield Street in Holyoke. So you get to the end of that. There's South Street right here.
Yep.
Well, there's 2 lights right there. My light turns green. Well, the first light is always green for turning right on South Street.
Yeah.
This woman comes right through because she thought because that light was green, the second light might be green for her.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, hits me in the front. Just clips me in the front.
All right.
Well, I don't even know it's a woman at first, right? It just happened so fast. She takes off.
Really? Oh man.
Keeps going. So I chase her down. Get out of the car. I run up to the driver's window. I'm like, hey. And I realize it's like she's like legit like 80 years old, right?
Scared her.
She was out of there. She's looking at me and then she slams on the gas. Well, I'm on the phone with the cops. She's like, let her go. She goes, we have a cop that's down there. He already just told him he's going to watch out for her. And sure enough, I can see all the way down. He pulls out and he gets her. So he says to her, tell him to go back, park in the church. So he makes her drive all the way back. And then she gets out of the car. I'm like, oh my God. So come to find out she's 89 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
God bless her.
So first thing is she was never supposed to be driving. She had a license, but her family was like, you can't drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she found the spare key, and this car was so old, but in perfect condition. It was the
course it
weirdest
was.
thing. And it was some kind of like,
That's the shit that's selling like for $1 million on like Craigslist
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, it's a barn find, we call that.
Yeah.
so he comes
Right.
back to my car and he's like, hey, bud, I got some bad news. You're going to be found liable for this. I go, how do you figure? She
Wait,
hit me.
she hit you?
Yeah. He goes, prove it.
Whose bumper hit who?
Well, it doesn't matter. So because she's on the main road, she has the right of way. Any street that comes onto the main road, you have to yield, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, the light could have been green for all we know, but if you can't prove it was green, and nobody stops and becomes
Where'd
a witness,
she hit you?
Right front.
How far past your bumper?
Nope. Right front.
Just right in the front.
Right in the front. So
Like
I hit.
head on?
Nope. She just clipped me. So her. I think hers was in the back quarter panel of her driver's, if I remember
so she
correctly.
sideswiped the front of your car.
Yeah. So I went to go turn, and she came this way
Okay.
as we're turning.
So she was Oh,
she was going straight.
She turned into you, basically.
Well, she
Or-
just
yeah.
straight on. I kind of turned
Okay,
into
yeah,
her.
So that's a tough call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, "Are you kidding me?" And I knew there were cameras up there. So I said, "Well, I need to call the station and have that." He goes, "Yeah, those are fake." I go, "Oh, come on, man." He's
Love
like,
that,
he's
love
like,
that.
"Yeah, I hate to say that to you, but they're fake."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Jeez." So then I'm looking around to see who had cameras anywhere, and he's like, "I'll already tell you, there's no like none of the neighbors have cameras there."
No real cameras.
He goes, "Because we have shit happen here all the time. We already, we know who the people are. We constantly go to them.
Yeah.
Can He goes, "There's no cameras here." I'm like, and she's straight up telling the cop that I blew the red light. I'm like, there was somebody in front of me. He's like, well, that person never stopped.
Oh,
So
my
you're at
goodness.
fault. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. So now I'm flipping out because I'm a step 9 driver or 99, whatever it's
Yep.
called now. So I go in the phone book because she never left me her phone number. The insurance company called and they're like, unfortunately, you will be found liable for this if she wants her car fixed. Now, keep in mind, I got some pretty good damage. So I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, I was losing sleep. I couldn't eat. I was so upset.
Yeah.
I knew I was right, but no way to prove it. And I went in the phone book and I found her daughter's name. I called her. I said, hey, and she's like, I'm so glad you called because my mother wouldn't give us your information. She goes, first of all, my mother's not supposed to be driving.
Oh my God.
The car's insured and everything. She goes, everything is legit. She has a driver's license, but
everything you're saying is right. Like,
yeah, she goes, we know you're right. She goes, so here's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, you're going to have to fix your own car. Because if we do anything, we know she's going to win. Like, and we already know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
She goes, so if you just, like, we're going to call our insurance company and say we don't want our car fixed, which is a negate you having to go through the insurance company, but you're going to have to fix it on your own. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I drove there to an auto body shop, and he's like, listen, I'll patch this thing together. I'll get it to where it looks decent,
Right.
and then you can go trade it in.
I like your style, man. That's great.
So that's what I did. I mean, we got it in working order. Like,
Yeah.
it was legit
Yeah,
working
yeah.
order, but it wasn't like, you could tell it was hit. And they saw it when I traded it in.
Mhm.
And I said, the only thing I didn't get to fix was the windshield wash fluid container got ruptured.
Oh man, that sucks.
And I didn't know that until afterwards. I went to go after I got the car back from being fixed. I go to pour washer fluid, it just pours out the
Right on
bottom.
the
Like, forgot that.
Oh man.
But yeah, so right from there, we're talking. I was with Polar then, so that was years ago.
Well, you
Yeah.
mentioned a phone book. I haven't seen those in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
20 years,
Yeah.
30 years.
And so I ended up getting a dash cam, and it was expensive when I got one of those. I mean, it was really expensive. I think I spent like $399 or right around there,
Yeah, back in the day,
$299.
but now they're a little.
Well, now you can get
Yeah.
it for $99. And
Yeah,
you can get a
even
pretty
higher.
decent one.
So what's the high point? Like,
Huh?
it's been a while since, I've had any infractions. So what's the high point on, like, I don't remember. It used to be like 6 to 12 to 18, or like, I know everything's
As
changed.
far as the points?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just telling. So the points go for a new driver. You start at a 0.
Yeah.
So you're 00. That's your point status.
Yeah.
As you get experience, you go to 99 and then 98.
Yeah.
But if you get a ticket or you get an accident, that's your fault. I mean, they'll start adding points before you know it. You could be up to 3, 4. I mean, I have a couple customers that have 11 points. I mean, it's a little expensive for their policies, And some people will actually get denied from insurance companies. They don't want to cover certain, with a certain amount of points. Like I have a couple carriers that I'm really
Make sure
vigilant,
it goes.
that I'm hyper vigilant about making sure. I mean, if you have 3 or 4 points, I won't put you with a certain carrier because I just know that it's not going to be feasible for you.
Yeah.
But then there are carriers out there that like you to have points. I don't understand it, you know what I mean? But they just have a different concept as far as the kind of customers that they cater to, I mean, maybe it's they think, well, they've already had a couple accidents. Maybe they won't have another one for the next couple of years.
So yeah, it's a potential for increased margin. So it's just
Right.
like, we're going to charge a little more, but we think you learned your lesson.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hopefully profit, but there's increased
Right.
risk. So we're
There's
gonna charge
risk.
you for that increased risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You just you have to calculate it. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. Right.
It's funny now that I know that I have to trade my car in a couple weeks because my car's not ready yet. And now I'm paranoid. I never used to drive paranoid, man. I like every little car. And it was funny because we left the dealership and we're going down 291, and this guy comes right in my lane, and I'm like, seriously, 5 seconds? Getting on? Are you kidding me? And she's like, this is what it does. This you got to know. This is how life treats you.
Yeah,
Like, you knew this was gonna happen. And so the whole way I'm like, okay, that guy's a little close. Once I get the new car, I'll probably go back to it. Nice and gentle before. But every little car that pulls out, I'm like, here it goes.
Oh,
And
man.
I don't have, like, when I traded it in, the guy's like, he came back and he goes, that car is mint. I go, I have it professionally detailed all the time. I go, I keep up on it. It has one little dent on the side, but it can be sucked out.
Yep.
I don't even know how I even got that because it's high up. May have been like a truck or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing that catches my goat is the fact that somebody will hit someone else's car, like in a parking lot or something, and then take off.
Oh man. Yes.
That drives me mental.
Yep.
When I was in Chicopee working for Polar, and I was at, was it Liquors 44? Is that what's on Memorial Drive?
It's Cappy's now.
Cappy's, that's
well,
what-
it's Liquor Stores for
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's
it was Cappy's then,
yeah.
yeah. And I was doing some paperwork in my car, and I see this guy.
I was just there today.
He was
actually.
right in front. He's right in front where it says "Don't park." So the cop comes over and says, "Hey, can't park there." He's like, "All right." So he pulls out. Well, he went to go pull into a space, and he just couldn't get in. So all of a sudden he floors it backwards. Boom! Hits the car right in front of me.
My God.
He just went right in front of me and hit the car. Looks right at me and then leaves. So I got it caught on my dash cam. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Well, all of a sudden I look over because now I'm going to follow him, and I see 2 cops talking in the corner. So I run over there, and I just happen to know one of the guys. He goes over and gets him. And this guy was giving the cop like some issues. Like he wasn't gonna get out of his car. He wasn't gonna give him his license. In the meantime, this woman comes walking out. Her front end is just all over the ground. So I get out of the car. I'm like, that guy hit your car. I just want to let you know he's taking care of it. And he admitted to finally hitting the car.
Okay.
But you got to be a scumbag in order to hit someone's car and just take off, because the financial burden that you have just put on that other person.
Man.
What if you're like, she's like a single mom who's just barely making it, and then you whack her car and now she can't, the headlights out. She doesn't know how to get it fixed.
Right.
Yeah, you're paying for coverage.
Man.
Like, and sometimes the coverage you're paying for it's to include your own stupidity.
Yeah.
So like insurance companies ain't happy about it, but sometimes
that's a good way to put it, man.
Sometimes
awesome.
their clients are stupid. Like we've all done it, and so just own up to it. Like you've been paying. Like, is it going to cost you a little bit more? Going forward, yeah, but that's because you're stupid. But you've already been paying like pre-stupid tax.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say it to be insensitive, but like, that's a lot of insurance involves some people's own forthcomings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. People do dumb things every day. You know what I mean? And it's my job to see it.
Yeah.
It's my job to see it. So.
All right, guys. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Awesome.
Great podcast.
That was quick.
We learned a lot. We learned that Carlos is the man of many hats.
Oh,
Yes.
man. Yeah.
That Florida is a place that you go get in trouble.
Yep. You go on vacation, come back on probation.
Yeah.
And what else did we learn today? You have to have the right insurance.
Yes,
Having the right
insurance is
coverage, yes.
important.
Mhm.
Making sure listen, it's needs based. It's and that's constantly changing, just
And,
like your life changes.
The thing is, really quickly, I love helping people with their auto and home insurance. When I was with Liberty, I hated selling life. I hated selling life, and for one reason, there's really nothing fun about selling life insurance. The only outcome is that somebody's going to die and somebody's going to get. For me, it just wasn't fun. For me, there's no savings. It's in that, but when you're helping people with their auto insurance. And let me tell you, when you're saving them a decent amount, it's almost like a lifestyle change for them.
Sure.
Because, if they're saving an extra, $100 or even $150 a month extra, wow, that's a big benefit to some people, and that happens more than you would know.
You can go out to dinner a few times a week, and have.
Absolutely.
But
man.
I think you'll agree, even though it's not fun, life insurance is still important.
Oh, absolutely. No. Okay, so it's not fun for me, you know what I mean? But it is absolutely important.
I myself don't think I could ever talk to people, as a career about it, but I am like it's life insurance in general is
it's like being a proctologist.
Yeah.
Shitty job. Someone's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy's like sticking the finger up a butt. The other guy's talking about how you're going to die and how much money you need after, how much your family needs after that. None of those are good conversations.
Yeah.
One gets a little more physical than the other, but they're both very important.
That's right.
We
important,
won't discount
absolutely.
the fact that they're both very important.
Right.
All right. So you want to plug your business?
Yeah, so E.J. O'Neill, right, 400 Broadway Street in Chicopee. Been there for over 120 years. I haven't, but I mean, it's a great place. We have some wonderful. What was that?
We've been in like 110 years.
It's 120.
Oh, you personally?
Oh, I've been there for about 105.
Oh, okay. All right. I just
Yeah.
checking on the
Yeah,
experience.
The wrinkles and stuff, yeah. But, I mean, we have some awesome people there. The owners, the wonderful family business. And I'm just excited that they allowed me to go and join them and hopefully expand their business. And like I said, hopefully you guys will see a squad of those EJ Mobile cars. You know what I mean? Maybe not the Subarus, but maybe they'll be Teslas someday. Who knows? Whatever. You know what I mean? So in case of a blackout, those cars aren't going to run anyway. But
Right.
that's all right.
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it. So if anybody needs any kind of insurance, see my boy Carlos here. I can vouch for him. Years and years and years I've known this guy.
Absolutely.
Stand-up guy. Friend of the podcast, without a doubt.
Absolutely. What a great place to be, man. This is awesome. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come down and talk to you guys, man. So exciting.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great.
It was
awesome.
I was so surprised when you reached out to me. I called him right away. I'm like, hey, you're not going to forget, or never going to I don't know the right word. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I never guess
yeah.
who wanted to be on, and he's like, no kidding.
We're like completing each other's sentences these days.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome, man. That's so awesome.
We always look at each other's eyes and say it. So, all right, Brett, let him have it.
All right, yeah. So as always, I'll promote our family business, IQ Inc. T-shirt embroidery, screen print embroidery on anything you can wear. IQ-Inc.com. And as always, want to promote my son's business, Blue Bee Apparel. Can be found at bluebeeapparel.com.
It's that other wine, Brett. That got you, man.
Yeah.
So Brett was drinking Summer Blush.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
This is too much.
Just cut this whole thing out.
All right. So always rainbowrescues.org. Rainbow Rescues with an S.org. Better Together Dog Rescue. That's another one. We had Jenny on the show. She did really well. TS Mobile. Go see our boy Tony Shukes.
Yes, Tony Shukes.
He does.
Dash cameras. I can't wait to go check them out.
He can put cameras on and LEDs and lights and you name it.
Car wraps.
If you want
That's
car
awesome.
wraps,
Car wraps.
If you can do it to
That's
a
one of
car,
my
He could wrap your
He
car
can
with
do
your
Yeah.
your thing on there.
See that? I'd like to check your boy out, man.
Yep.
Yep. He is a phenomenal dude. Stand-up guy. Definitely a dear friend of the show.
That's awesome.
Joe.
Oh, we got Joe Amarinos. If you give a gay a grinder, you can find his book on reallygaybooks.com. You can find it on Amazon. Well, I got to give him a call because we need to find out what's going on with the other book.
He's got another book coming out, right?
He's got another book coming out. He took a leave of absence from work, but he's back.
Yep.
So we'll have to. I'll give him a call tomorrow. See what's going on. And then, God, miss anybody? Bordeaux and Sons Flooring.
And
The
walls.
list is growing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
walls. Yeah, list is growing.
Now we have Carlos's plug every single podcast now.
EJ O'Neill.
Yep,
I'd join you guys anytime, man.
definitely. All right, guys. As always, thank you for joining in and listening to our ridiculousness and our, our craziness. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Take care.